Well, hello everyone. We're here again, and it's episode 122. Though apparently there has been some mess up with the thumbnail again. I'm sorry about that, but hey, we'll try. I'll try and get it right. I've had a few problems with my phone, I think, or something's been going wrong. But anyhow, we'll do that. But anyhow, welcome as always to Delboy. Thank you so much for being on here, and let's just get on with it. And the question I normally ask is, what have you been watching? But also, maybe we'll just mention for a few minutes as well some rest in pieces, which are two deaths we'd like to maybe just mention and talk about a little bit. You want to? I'll let you get on.
Oh no, I mean it might be best to get that out of the way now because it's just. I've always turned around and said that death is always a horrible thing to hear about. It doesn't matter who it is, what it is. You know that they're somebody's daughter, somebody's son, aren't they? And I was watching telly with my mum yesterday, and all of a sudden there was Jolene playing in the background, and I just, I was with my mum at the time. And I just turned around and it said that Dolly Parton had died. And I went, oh, my God. And what I've always said is my childhood just keeps shrinking as I just keep getting older. And I've always sort of like turned around and said that there's more now to look. There's less now to look forward to and more to look back on as I keep getting older. So, to hear of another person that I could always remember my mum cooking the Sunday roast and having the radio on, and there'd always be a Dolly Parton number or something being played. She sang from the heart, and the words and the music were always quite strong in a lot of things. Do you know what I mean? So it was a big thing. And then I heard that it was a very short battle with cancer. And we hear that word now, the C word being heard more and more and more, and it just saddens me, So, there's that. And then, of course, I was just feeding my mum because it's assistive eating with my mum. And there's Tim Curry, mentioned. And it was the same age. They're both 80 and within a day of each other. And I'm just going, wow. And, we were talking just before, you should never talk about which one's the more prolific. But I suppose Dolly will be the one that they'll talk about probably a lot more this week than Tim Curry. But I think that's purely just because she was around a lot longer and therefore was enjoyed by a bigger audience. Tim Curry was equally as important as far as I'm concerned. I liked his films. I'm not quite sure. I think it was the Rocky Horror Picture Show that I remember seeing him first in, which you might even think is still, well, that's bloody late, but it was the 70s. You have to remember that. And, of course, I've told that stupid story, haven't I, where I dressed up as Frankenfurter when I went to see it at the theatre, I can only imagine, because I think he was in the original theatre production and then went into the film, like a lot of the actors that were in that film did. I always wondered, what was Tim Curry like on the stage? We know him from the films, don't we? But I wonder what he was like on the stage. I bet he was really, really good on the stage. He's got one of those faces, like Pat Troughton's got one of them faces. Whenever I think of Pat Troughton, I think of those big grooves, around his mouth. You know what I mean? It's just very distinct, and then bushy eyebrows. The deep black eyebrows that he had as playing the Doctor. And so with Tim Curry, I could see his face right now. But he was in one of my favorite directors' films, Ridley Scott. So he was in Legend, and we were talking about, weren't we, that he was in a Home Alone film, I think, and
second one,
and I believe he was in a sort of like a Cluedo type.
Yeah,
I couldn't quite remember what it was. So a very, very sad 2 days is all I can really say.
I think with Dolly Parton, I think Um, People, I never heard anybody say anything bad about her, and that says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah,
And influence on popular music. People forget she was somebody who came from a very sort of poor background,
yeah,
and
very.
she kept that with her throughout her life. She never got above herself, and she did a lot of good things for people, like the book thing as well, which they talk about, the library stuff. Um, she just and she was a very talented singer songwriter. She could play the guitar.
Did you hear the story today? Just not trying to interrupt you, but did you
Yeah.
hear the story today about how Nelson Mandela
Oh,
knew about Dolly Parton?
really?
Apparently, he was heavily into country and western, and he was in prison.
Yeah.
And they relaxed some of his, stringent routines in prison.
Yeah.
And in the second year, he asked for Dolly Parton music to be played over the speakers,
Wow.
loudspeakers on where he was being
Yeah.
imprisoned. And the one that they played the most was Jolene. And if you think
Yeah.
about it, Jolene is all about power,
Yeah.
power being taken away.
Yeah.
Jolene is all about a woman that says, "Look, I know that you're taking away my man. I can do nothing about it. You're prettier than me. You're better than this. You have the ability to take my man away, but please don't do it. Have mercy on me."
Mm.
And that's very prolific, isn't it? When you think about Nelson Mandela,
Yeah. It's
took
very.
all his power away,
Yeah.
put him in
Yeah.
prison, all of
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. So that was an interesting story. That was on Radio 5 at lunchtime.
I think it's also interesting that in terms of America, she appeals to the right, where a lot of the country people come from, and then she appeals to the liberal left, like with gay rights. She was a big supporter of gay rights. So you've got a character who he's got a mass appeal. It's quite a big thing, that, I think, because to get that amount of things. But if we're looking at, say, from a musical viewpoint as well, she was important in bringing country music into the mainstream more. She was doing a lot more popular kind of music, which again was very important. Also, in later years, she carried on. Who can forget that Glastonbury performance she did?
Oh yeah,
that was just amazing. She did.
She looked $1 million in that white outfit as well.
She was fantastic, wasn't she? Yeah.
But people made jokes about her boobs and her wigs and things like that.
Yeah.
I just look at apparently she got up every morning and prayed, and she was actually even praying for Trump.
Yeah,
believe it or not.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the reason why America, the actual Senate, of America, the Prime Minister has said, please put your flags at half mast for Dolly Parton. I've never known him do that for an entertainer.
Yeah.
I mean, he's paying a war on Hollywood and all sorts. So I mean,
and of course, we've got to remember she was in films as well. She did films.
Oh yeah.
So
how many Dolly Parton albums have you got?
I've only probably, I haven't got any, but I've got her tracks on compilations.
Yeah,
I've got her.
It's amazing, isn't it? We're talking about her like, oh my God, she must mean something really big to you. But if you actually look in your collection, you probably don't have a Dolly Parton album.
Like I've got, for instance, a country collection because I've delved that deep, and so I've got that. I mean, I don't have many country artists. I've only got Emmylou Harris is my only probably major country artist. Though I like Linda Ronstadt, and she veered a bit into country a bit. She had a sort of background, but she became more pop mainstream. It's just a fascinating.
I think the first album that actually had a track of hers on mine was when I bought the vinyl copy of 9 to 5.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Right? But then, you know, my mum knew Dolly Parton, but my mum didn't really buy albums. She didn't really buy cassettes or anything. She listened to the radio, you know, the Steve Wright on Sunday and all of this sort of stuff. You know, when she was cooking the dinner in the kitchen and all of that sort of stuff. And of course, when she was working in the hairdressers, they'd play all sorts of different music. You know.
Yeah.
My mum, loved things like Roy Orbison and the Beatles and you know, Elvis and stuff like that.
I think,
but,
sorry. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say she liked country, but I don't.
Yeah.
She never really bought an album. I did have at one point Best of Dolly Parton, but I think it was because somebody bought it me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've still got it. I bet you that the only full Dolly Parton album I've got was. Do you remember those days when the Sunday papers used to put a CD or a DVD?
Yeah,
I bet you any money I've got one with Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
Any money that I will have.
I think what's interesting is that there are other country artists. Perhaps Johnny Cash made quite a big impact. He crossed over into the mainstream. But there's people like Willie Nelson who are very well respected, and he's getting on a bit. I think Willie Nelson, I don't know how old he is, but he hasn't got the same impact as this is what makes her stand out as Dolly Parton.
Oh yeah,
musically, her appeal is very wide, whereas some of those legends of country, it's not quite as wide. And I'd say Willie Nelson would definitely be considered when he goes. It's just an interesting, what's happened really.
And then your thoughts on Tim Curry.
Tim Curry, for me personally, it's always because I just loved it so much, is seeing him as Pennywise. I know the second actor who played Pennywise was very good, but seeing Tim Curry as that in that was just amazing. What a performance. And I've got to mention Home Alone as well.
Yeah.
It's good to see him in Home Alone. Home Alone 2. It's the second one.
He had a very animated. It's hard for me to explain, but he had a very animated face.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what makes it kind of sad that it is a while since he had that stroke. 2012. So it's been all this time, since that stroke, which affected obviously his work. But I know he did some voice stuff. I've done some voice work, but yeah. So that's
he did some animated productions.
Yeah. So I think let's get on next. Just talk about what's arrived for you. And,
so
and what you've watched.
I tried to watch as much as possible, but it's actually there was actually very little that actually arrived last week. In fact, in my own diary, I didn't show anything other than something that arrived a couple of weeks previous to that. It wasn't even a film.
Yeah.
So it's I think that's going to change. Usually September, October changes for me because there's a lot of releases or suddenly floodgates open. I don't know if it's because it's the lead up to Christmas or what, but that generally happens an awful lot for me. So because I knew we would be talking about Tim Curry, it's amazing that my friend Denny actually showed the cover to this literally about a week or so ago. But Legend. I mean, Legend is an absolute. This is my Arrow production of Legend, which you can only get in the States. It's an American release, but I love Ridley Scott. So, but I watched that a couple of weeks ago, so it wasn't this week. But I did order some BFI stuff because Jim Jam Movies actually told me and said, "Oh, have you looked and seen whether there's any BFI titles?" And I said, "Well, I'm never really got an awful lot of money at the moment, but I'll have a look." Okay. And of course, I had a look, and there was 3 films that took my fancy. Ones that I'd already got as DVDs, but I'd like to have upgraded to Blu-ray. And they were dirt cheap. They were about £6 something.
Right. Yeah.
So so I bought The Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and I watched that on Monday.
Yeah, that's great. I've got that.
Always great to watch the black and white one. the quality of these BFIs is amazing. You've done it yourself. Look, you get the booklet, that's in there. You get a picture
Isn't
disc.
that wonderful?
The booklet is not exactly like Finn. I mean, you're talking
exactly.
like
Sometimes
it's almost like
a
a Criterion release. If you see what I mean. And if you look at the back there's a heck of a lot of extras on these things. What can we say about Invasion of the Body Snatchers that hasn't been said already? I mean, it so shocked me when I first saw it. It really is more character-driven and drama-based. I will say that. I mean, I'll mention that word drama. I don't mind using that word drama, but there you go. Speaking of drama, the one I watched yesterday was Mary, Queen of Scots.
Fantastic.
Which is a great drama. Again, a beautiful edition. There's a lovely booklet.
I've just ordered that one.
It is not a thin booklet. It's actually got quite an awful lot in there. Quite a few extras. £6. You can't really go wrong. I mean, the story of Bloody Mary. And of course, if it weren't for the fact that I'm doing this lovely thing today, I'd have watched the third one, which was The Day the Earth Caught Fire.
Yeah, I've got that one. That's brilliant.
So that would have been the next one that I watched. You can see it's still cellophaned up because I haven't got around to watching that one yet. So the thing that I watched on TV yesterday, no, was it? It might have been Sunday. Yes, Sunday was I watched The Darkest Hour again. Gary Oldman as Churchill.
Yeah, Churchill, yeah.
It was all over the paper saying a hidden gem that nobody talks about. And I thought, I'm not sure that's quite true.
No.
It's actually quite well known.
It's mentioned.
It's always nice to see it because I find towards the end of the film, it becomes a very likable film. It's very under a lot of pressure at the beginning. Nobody likes him. Nobody did like him. He was up against it all the way through. And of course, he did that famous speech, but he did it on the back of the fact that the king famously went to see him at his home and said, I'll back you up all the way. And the best way to actually learn about anything is to actually speak to the people, but do it in a way that, it's not that's not the word sneaky, but you sort of do what was it? Richard III who did it. He actually went in amongst the people and didn't know that didn't know he was the king. Do you remember that famous one? And he sat with all of his soldiers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Is it Richard III?
I don't know if it's Richard III. I think could it be Richard the Lionheart?
Well, it's a Shakespearean thing.
The Shakespeare one.
It's a famous thing where even Kenneth Branagh did it.
Isn't it Henry V?
Henry V.
Henry V.
Henry V.
Yeah.
So he did a Henry V, didn't he? He went into the underground, spoke to the people, even wrote their names down, went into Parliament just before he actually went to the full Parliament thing. He actually spoke to the the politicians in there, and he basically said, rally round me, we can do this, and then gave out his speech about we'll fight him on the beaches and all of that sort of stuff, and the rest is history, isn't it? And of course he was out of Parliament a year after the war, wasn't it? I mean,
that's interesting. He thought he would probably get in, but I think it was his links with the Conservatives were just seen as past it. And Labour seemed excited.
And Chamberlain died 6 months later or something.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So, and isn't it? I don't think the Americans stood up very well in that film because he asked for his planes that he'd bought and all of that, and they said, "No, we can't really give them. We can put them a mile away from the border, and you can get some horses or something, and you can carry them or something over the line. I can do that. Something to do with a treaty that he had signed or something. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Neville. I've forgotten who it was. Who was it? Who was the prime minister then? It was
Neville. Neville Chamberlain before.
It was Neville Chamberlain, wasn't it?
Yeah. With his bit of paper. That's what he's famous for. When he went to see and said he'd got peace in our time, and next day virtually they'd invaded Czechoslovakia, and it was Czech Republic, and they went to Poland. It was Poland, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great film, but it's got more heart towards the end, and I think it's a standout performance. But then Gary Oldman always does a great performance, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So I saw that on telly, and then probably a load of black and white films that I can't quite remember what they were called. I usually write them down so that when I'm in here, I can go, and I watch the Joker or something, I watch the Bat or something or whatever. But I saw a couple of Bond films because ITV has seemed to be having a great big spectacle. The ones that they showed this week were Skyfall, Spectre, and the last one, which is the Die one.
No Time to Die, is it?
No Time to Die. That's it. Which actually, if you go to Wikipedia and look up that film, it's actually quite well received.
Yeah, I can see why. Actually, because I'm not a big fan of it.
The thing that I like about that film is they play on Her Majesty's Secret Service cues an awful lot the way through it.
I think you're right. I'm surprised that I actually like that one. I would possibly. Everybody goes Casino Royale as Daniel Craig's best, but I think maybe that one is. Even Skyfall is all right, but as I say, I never.
But I saw Spectre again and wish I hadn't. What a piece of shit Spectre is! That really is a piece of crap. I'm sorry, but it really. If anybody likes that film, I don't like to upset anybody, but oh my god, what an awful film Spectre is!
Didn't anybody read the script? That's all I would say properly. We'll let that through. The script is ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous. They should have known. And is it Quantum of Solace? That's pretty bad as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's nothing much was really going on. It's just series of scene to scene. It doesn't feel like a good film at all. But there we are.
I mean, I do like. I think Casino Royale's the one with. Is it Eva Green? Yeah, Eva Green's the Bond woman. Isn't she? I love Eva Green.
Yeah,
I can watch Eva Green. She's very pleasing on the eye.
Yeah.
She's in that Penny Dreadful. TV series about monsters, werewolves and vampires and all that sort of stuff. And she's brilliant in that. But she's a very private person, but she doesn't mind her sexuality, and she knows that she's used for that. But but she I mean, I can watch films that are really listed as being totally crap, and if she's in it, I'll watch it. It's just something about her that I just go, I'll watch that. You know what I mean? I'll watch a French film that's all in with if it's got her in it, I'll watch it. Like my Three Musketeers. Remember that box set I bought with 2 Three Musketeer type films in it, and they both have Eva Green in it, and I went, I'll buy that. It's got Eva Green in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's just there are certain, you have crushes, don't you? And I'll say I've got a crush. I'll say I've got a crush on her. I don't mind.
Yeah.
Everybody's got some sort of crush.
Yeah.
She's my sort of crush I've got on her. So. But other than that, I really, I'm looking forward more to maybe the return of Tony York Corner. I don't know. Yeah. The world wants to know, is there a Tony York Corner this week?
There's only 3 films to talk about that I've got here. And of course, everybody knows there's going to be a predictable one in there. And then it's just 3 films. So I suppose I'll start off with the predictable one, because each week I've been watching the
the Hammer films.
Yeah, the Karnstein trilogy. So we've got to now perhaps one of my favorites. This happens to be perhaps one of my favorite Hammer films. It's a later one, obviously, but it's just a wonderful film. I can't help but love it. It's this one, of course, Twins of Evil. 1971, and this is the final part of the Karnstein trilogy, and thank God for that, because that lust for a vampire I didn't really think was up to it. It was one of the weakest Hammer films I've
You know
seen.
what? Thinking about it, I think there's been a comic book adaptation of all three of these films
Oh,
that you're
right.
talking about.
Possible, yeah. They did some, didn't they?
Yeah.
So I said this is a film that I watch a lot. I didn't realize how much I watched this film. There's something about it that I just really love. It's directed by John Huff, who directed Eyewitness, which is a very good film, 1970, and The Legend of Hell House, 1973. And then he sort of did a Hollywood thing, Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, 1974, Escape to Witch Mountain, we know that one, 1975, Return from Witch Mountain, 1978. Then he did a sort of alien horror kind of thing, Incubus, and then Biggles. There we are, a film that I know you love. And that's 1986.
I've got some nice memories of Biggles. Yeah. I'll say
so that's this director who's got quite an interesting lot of films. So of course this stars Peter Cushing. He's back, thank God. A Hammer film without Peter Cushing, you know it, you miss it, don't you? He's just such a presence. He lifts a film, and he's just wonderful. He's Peter Cushing. He plays a character in this called Gustav. Then, of course, famously, this is what this film is famous for. It's got Mary Collinson and Madeline Collinson, who play Maria. That's played by Mary Collinson. She's the goodie. And then Madeline Collinson, Frida, she's the one that's a bit naughty and a bit bad. She likes the bad ones. But they were sort of famous, I think, because they were ex-Playboy models, and you can see a few reasons why. They do look good.
A couple of things come to mind. Is that what you're saying?
They do look good on the eye. You can't deny. They do look good. Then you've got the villain is played by Damien Thomas, who plays Count Karnstein. I quite like him. He's a bit pantomime-ish in places, but he's all right. And films, I've not really seen much of him. He was in Julius Caesar, 1970. Henry VIII and the Six Wives, 1972, which is a good one, Keith Michelle. He was also in Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger, 1977, which is a great film. Then there's Dennis Price. Dennis Price, he's hardly in these films, but he pops up in so many. You look right through the era. Apparently, didn't he have a bad drinking problem? And he had loads of debts. He lost all his money because he goes right back. Dennis Price goes back into sort of film history. And he just appeared in anything for money. That's it. And here he is again. It's not a very big role either, but there he is. He pops up. And then you've got the sort of good character in it. It's played by Anthony Warbeck. He plays Anton, who's this teacher who takes quite a shine to the good twin, Maria. And he was in infamously Trog. I'd love to see Trog. I might get around to it because it's so bad. It's the Joan Crawford one. Or perhaps I shouldn't. Maybe it's too bad. I don't know. But Trog. A Fistful of Dynamite, which sounds like a rip-off of a certain other film, is Craze, Jack Palance, 1974. It is a really over-the-top horror. And also The Beyond, 1981 is in that. And a film called Ratman, 1989, which already makes you think, oh, I bet that's a right B-movie kind of funny film. So there we are. That's the cast. And the story, well, the two twins, they arrive from Venice, and as you do, you know, and they decide to live with their uncle, Gustav. Now, Peter Cushing is just, he's almost relishing the role, even though it's been a bad period of his life, this. But he's really into it. It's just great. He plays this Puritan, and he's like in a gang. They've got all the black and white and the hats. and they go around, and occasionally I kept thinking of Monty Python. They go around, burn them, burn the witches. It's all about burning the witches, and he's leading them and dragging these women and burning them. They've got obviously no else to do, and so I don't know. Let's go and burn a few witches. So he's a bit of a fanatic, really, and that these two come and live with him, and Count Karnstein, who's had a few run-ins with Peter Cushing's character, immediately thinks, "Oh, I want to see those twins," and he does, and he kind of enchants Frida, and she's obviously she's the bad girl. She thinks, "Whoa, he's a bit of all right up there," so she ends up going up to the castle, and in between times, he's not a vampire at this time, but he sort of, because it's continuing the Karnstein story, he resurrects. He does one of these, rituals that they do, and he resurrects Makala, and she gives him the sort of bite, and he becomes a vampire spirit. And of course, once he gets hold of Frida, then that's it. She gets a bitten. She becomes a vampire. And of course, you've always got to have like the good hero guy. And it happens to be this school teacher. And he takes quite a shine, I say, to Maria. And he ends up in the end helping her out. And we get the usual thing with everybody in the village coming up to get them, and at the ending, the climax. It's a typical Hammer film with the climax and everything. Great, it's so enjoyable. It's one I've watched quite a lot over years. I've even remember it being on the TV a lot. It's just a film that I love, and it's on network, and it's cheap. You could probably pick this up really cheaply. I don't know now, but it's a great film. Right. So my next film is this is a really interesting film. There's a lot to talk about, but I won't talk too much. But it's Angel Heart. This is from 1987. This is directed by Alan Parker. Alan Parker's got an interesting lot of films he did. He's not with us now, but Midnight Express, I absolutely love. 1978, he directed that. And then the Fame, you remember Fame 1980, sort of kids at New York, acting and musicals and doing all that. And they did a spin-off series.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. And they did a spin-off series for TV.
That's what I'm saying. Unfortunately, yeah.
He also directed, and I'd forgotten this, so it's not my favorite film, but he directed Pink Floyd's The Wall. I think it's overlong, like the album. Yeah, the album needs to be cut down to one album, but anyhow, he did a film of it. And it spoils it. Don't you think it does spoil it? It's just too long. It's just all the best bits together.
I felt it was long when I first saw it, because again, you remember the animated sequences in that film, of the wall, and all of this. Playing, another brick in the wall, which is I think most people's favorite track off of the album.
Yeah, but can you remember by the third and fourth sides of the album, you're probably going, "Oh God, it's still going on."
Well, yeah, it's no war. It's no War of the Worlds. By the time you get to the fourth record, you're going.
Yeah, you're going. Oh, please, I should be quiet now.
Do we win or what? You know what I mean?
So he directed that, and he directed, honestly, if anybody hasn't seen this, and I think I've got a DVD copy, but I must upgrade it. Mississippi Burning, he directed that from 1988. It's got it's just absolutely wonderful. Gene Hackman I think it might be one of my favorite roles of his. Gene Hackman, and he's did some great roles, but he's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
He is absolutely fantastic in that film. I love that film. Now, he directed another film, which again I've not seen, and it's not really my cup of tea. But he directed Evita, which I think has Madonna in the lead. And his last film I've not seen was The Life of David Gale, 2003. But he's a good director, and he shows it in this film. So we've got Mickey Rourke playing Harry Angel, and I'll tell you something. You look and think, God, Mickey Rourke's really good in this film. He's excellent. Well, and he looks different, doesn't he? Because what's happened to him? I think, did he have some accident or something? And he's had all this plastic surgery. Doesn't look like that at all. He looks like a totally different person. I don't know the story. Somebody might know a bit more about that.
I bet they do.
He had some accident, and I know he came back because he did that wrestler film, didn't he? Which got a lot of praise, I think. But I've not heard much of him. But in this is where he's totally. You can see why people thought, "Wow, he's a pretty good actor." In this, he's top. He actually steals the film. De Niro, you see, is in it and think, oh yeah, he's the big guy, De Niro. And De Niro isn't in it a great deal. I mean, he's in it, obviously, is an important part. And of course, his name is Louis Cypher. And of course, if you start thinking about that name, it tells you who he actually is. That's one of the twists in the film. So De Niro is just De Niro. He's good. I mean, I have to admit, he's creepy, and he's got that nice, threatening look in him. Then we've got Lisa Bonet, who was in the Crosby Show. She was between 1984 and 1992, which is quite a long time she was in that, apparently. I've never seen the Crosby Show. It's a big in America.
You're missing much.
Now it's doesn't get talked about because of certain allegations.
Yeah.
But she was in Enemy of the State, which is a very good film, 1998, and a film I've not seen but heard about, High Fidelity, 2000. So she's very. I like her in the part. And then we've got an actress who I call old school, and well, it's Charlotte Rampling. She plays Margaret. She's like this fortune teller. But you look at Charlotte Rampling, she had a really good lot of films. Gregory's Girl, 1966, which is great. The Damned, I love The Damned, 1969. Vanishing Point, 1971, another great film. The Night Porter, yes. Night Porter, 1974, is one of those films that people talking about Dirk Bogarde go mad about. It's sort of a bit dark. It's a very dark film, kind of arty, farty kind of film. It's a Fellini film. That's why I think, but it is good actually. I really like it, and she is in that. And well, what can I say? She's definitely in that film. Then of course she's in a film that I always love, is Asylum. I don't know how many times I mentioned Asylum as one of my favorite horror films. Love that she's in that. Now she's also in. You probably noticed The Verdict, 1982, which is Paul Newman. Yeah. Very good film. And then she's in a Lance von Trier film. I think that's how you pronounce him. He gets mentioned a lot. Jamie, I think, would talk about him. Melancholia. And I've got Melancholia. I think Melancholia is a film that you need to watch a few times. It's one of those that it gets better the more you watch it. And of course, she was in Dune 2021 and Dune Part 2 2024. And later on in the year, she'll be in Dune Part 3 2026. So she's had quite a big career, going right back, to early 60s. And she's still making films. What can I say? So she's very good in this film. So the what it is that Harry Angel, played by Mickey Rourke, is a sort of a private detective. He's sort of, but he's quite clever. He's quite sharp. He knows his job, and he looks a bit sleazy, kind of in his office, and he looks a bit down and out, kind of. But he'll take on the job, and he's good at his job. He is good at his job, and of course, he meets this character who employs him, who is Robert De Niro's character, and he's looking for this disappearance of somebody called Johnny Favorite. That's apparently who's disappeared, and he says he wants to find him. So that's the sort of pretense of what is actually going on. But of course, as the film goes on, you start feeling, and this is the genius of the direction by Alan Parker, is you start to feel quite uneasy. He starts showing these kind of, like, there's fans going on, and there's these sort of stairways, and there's just that sense that something's not right about what's happening. And then we find out that after he's visited these people, the dead bodies start appearing. These people die. These people are dead. And of course, I won't give away the big twist, but it does become quite obvious once you've seen it. But it didn't spoil it. The fact I knew exactly what was going on doesn't spoil this film at all. I think that shows you how good the film is. But the major twist is a major twist, and you go, what? Huh? Yeah. But yeah, it's a great film. Absolutely love it. And then lastly, I haven't done much Stephen King, so I thought, I'll do some Stephen King. Stephen King, so many great films. So what I've chosen is this one, Pet Sematary, the original one. I've got the other one. They did a remake of it, which the remake, to be honest, is pretty good. So I might look at that again another week. But this one,
because this is where my memory might not be quite so good. But at the time Pet Sematary came out, was it the same year as Cat's Eyes came out?
1989. I think
there was that film about the tales of cat. There was a cat involved.
I've got that in my collection. Yeah, I've got that one. It's an anthology one, isn't it?
Yeah, it involves a cat in each story.
Yeah, it's very good.
Is that the same year? Because it seems like there was a lot of animals that were around.
No, I didn't check that out.
All dogs go to heaven and things like that.
I will probably review that film. You made me think, oh yeah, I should look. I like anthologies. I've got that. So I might do some Stephen King films now. I'm onto this. But yeah, I don't know. I'll check out. It could be similar time, couldn't it? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. So this one it's based obviously on one of his novels, and he wrote the screenplay of too as well. And he also appears in it very briefly as a minister. As soon as you see it, you think, oh, there he is. Is he trying to do a Hitchcock? No, I don't think he appears in that many.
I'm just going to go and check on my mum, so you carry on.
So this is directed by a lady called Mary Lambert. She directed Pet Sematary 2, 1992, The In Crowd 2000, and a film called The Attic 2007. And if you look, you see that she's got a lot of TV series and TV films down. So the cast, we've got Dale Midkiff, who plays Lewis Creed. And then we've got Denise Crosby. Ah, yes, she plays Rachel Creed. Of course, the reason I was going, Denise Crosby, is, of course, that she was in Star Trek The Next Generation, first season, and they killed her off, where she played Tasha Yar, who was a really good character. She was the security officer. But they brought her back as a Romulan, so she played another character called Sella. Look, the more I think about The Next Generation, I just love The Next Generation. Anyhow, she's in that. She's very good in this different role for her. Um, Totally enjoyed it. And then we've got, now this is his name, Miko Miko Hughes, I think that's it, yeah, who plays Gage Creed. Then we've got Blaze Burdell, who plays Ellie Creed. And then we've got this character is very good, very important, a very pivotal part. It is Fred Gwynn, who plays Judd. Judd is such an important part of this film. Now, Fred Gwynn was in Monsters Go Home, and he played Herman Munster, which was quite a big TV series, The Munsters. So he's one of the original Munsters. He was also in the Cotton Club 1984, The Secret of My Success 1987, which I think is Michael J. Fox. He was in Fatal Attraction. Yes, brilliant, Fatal Attraction. And another very good film, My Cousin Vinny, 1992. So that is the sort of major sort of cast in this film. So the Creed family, the Creed, they have this pet cat called Church. Apparently, it's Churchill, Winston Churchill has gone and they shortened it to Church. And they come over from Chicago and live in this rural place called Ludlow. And of course, it's in Maine. Everything Stephen King, it's always in Maine, isn't it? It's Maine, this, Maine, that, Maine, everywhere. So there he is, and it's in a rural thing. But there is one thing, though it all looks very idyllic, they live right near this road. It's right just opposite, virtually. It's there, it's opposite this road. And of course, this road, they get in these big lorries that go by. You go speeding by every so often. So it's not quite paradise, is it? You've got these lorries. And this is quite important to the whole thing because these lorries, you know, there's no stopping them at all. They're just speeding along. And if you've got children, then you've got to be careful. You've got to be careful. Now, the other aspect to this film is this Judd, who lives up on the other side of the road, is kind of this friendly neighbor. He welcomes them there. And they see this area sort of goes off. And he says, oh, that's the pet cemetery. You know, it's all, you know, where all people buried their pets. Though it was an Indian burial ground in the past. And you know, he takes them there like you do. Oh, let's go on here. And you're thinking to yourself, hey up, what's going on here? Because he says, no, it's not. It's not the same as it was. He has a phrase, and I've forgotten what the phrase is, but it's not a place that you should really be involved with now. It's gone, and it's not going to do anything. So we get all that about the pet cemetery, and so that's hanging around. But what starts to move the film on is there's an accident. The little boy, Gage, is killed by a truck. This truck goes speeding by. Everybody is in total shock. That is the problem. Now, the cat had been killed also on this road. And as a favor, as he felt it was, while the family was away, the doctor, Louis, he said, you know, how's he going to tell his daughter about this cat dying? She loved him. But he says, oh, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll bury the cat and bring it back. And that's what he does, because When the cat comes back from this burial, it's not the same cat anymore. It's wild. Its eyes are strange. It's vicious. It's something you don't really want. It's not this sweet little cat anymore. So the idea of bringing back Gage, who's been killed, seems to me, but it's one of these films, logically, you wouldn't bring back your child, even though you're grieving, you've been warned, you've seen it in the cat. Why would you bring a child you love so much? But that maybe that's it. The child that you love so much, you'd do anything to have them back. It doesn't bode well. You wouldn't do it, would you, really? But you're not thinking rationally, I suppose. So that's what he does. The rationality doesn't come into it. I mean, he's grieving, but he's saying, what happened with the cat. Oh, he's perhaps thinking things will be different, because we know it's not going to be different, is it? So they go and bury the body, and the body is in the pet cemetery, and yes, it's because it's built on this Indian graveyard, if you want to call it like, which has got bad vibes all written all over it. And what's Hamlet cat? But they're still doing it. So, of course, the child comes back, and it's frightening. This is where the full horror begins, with this child when it comes back, and it goes a certain inevitable way, and it's. I think it is very scary. It is very scary what happens, and I remember the sequel I really liked as well, and the ending's a bit different in the sequel, and I thought the sequel had an interesting ending. There's a really nice twist in the ending of the sequel, which is different from this, but this is the original one. And if you're a Stephen King fan, you would rate this, I think, quite highly. It's just well done. It's well put together as a film. It's got everything you would want from a good Stephen King film, and I highly recommend it. It's amazing. You could. I'm surprised, actually. I don't see more top 10 Stephen King films, because there'd be quite a lot. But this would be up there. I think this would be up there, because it's. I like it. I like it. Perhaps it won't be for everybody's top 10, but I don't know. I think it's up there. Anyhow, that's me. I think finished, and yeah, I definitely want to do more Stephen King, I think. Yeah. Right. So let's get into the comments. And let's start with this. Tony, good evening, Ian and Del. Hello, Tony. Thank you for joining us. And then Tony says, rest in peace, Dolly. I didn't know she'd been ill. No, yeah. And then David says, evening, Del, Ian, and Tony. Hello, David. Thank you for joining us. And Tony says, evening, David. And then Tony says, did you get to watch 55 Days at Peking yet, David? Oh, yeah, I mentioned that previous weeks. Charlton Heston, isn't it? Hi, Tony. No, I haven't. It's on my bank holiday list. Bank holidays are always good for epics. I'm going to upgrade my Ben-Hur and 10 Commandments from Blu-ray to 4K on Friday payday. Well, good luck for that. That's I know people talk about the Ben-Hur as being one of the absolute top transfers of the real deal of 4K. I think that's what people talk about as Ben-Hur. So that and I think 10 Commandments as well. That is well thought of. And both films, I remember going to see them at the cinema, because they got a lot of re-releases in the 60s. So
have you got either of those films yourself though in 4K?
I've got Ben-Hur on Blu-ray. I haven't
No,
got
on
the
four
Ten
on
Commandments.
4K. Have you got either of those films?
No, I haven't got them on. I haven't got them on 4K.
Because
No.
I said that I'd talk about that in my diary, but
Yeah,
I had to answer his question very quickly because he said he was going to buy it on Friday, and of
yeah.
course my diary is on a Sunday. As far as I'm concerned, and you can go to Movie Collector if you want, those are 2 reference discs. As far as I'm concerned, when it comes to 4K, they are absolutely pin sharp and the colors are absolutely vibrant. You are not going to be disappointed whether you buy a Steelbook, standard edition, or whatever. And of course, Ben-Hur I was so excited about. I watched as soon as I got my copy in, and I did my little video movie shorts on Ben-Hur. It's absolutely gorgeous. That copy of Ben-Hur. You're gonna have a great weekend if you're buying those 2. As far as I'm concerned, they're fantastic. Yeah. But I thought you had one of those on 4K. I thought you had the 10 Commandments. Believe it or not, I thought you had that on 4K. Yeah,
he'll enjoy those films. They're really good. And then Tony says, don't have Ben-Hur or 10 Commandments on physical. Seen both on TV many years ago. They used to be on a lot, but they don't seem to have those films on anymore. I suppose it's just changed. They don't have epic films on, do they? They don't show them. Maybe that's the thing.
Sometimes BBC Two over a bank holiday will show, especially around Easter.
It used to be an Easter film, didn't it?
They'll show things like the robe. Things like that.
But I don't know whether they do as much anymore.
Tell you like this: Sky showed the 4-hour. No, it was Film 4 showed Cleopatra for 4 hours.
Oh wow!
Over the weekend.
Yeah. None of the mainstream channels would.
4 hours that film.
Yeah, exactly. It's a long time. And then David said, I did treat myself Monday to the new version of Roots, but could only get it on DVD. That was a new version of Roots.
Yeah, do you remember really nearly at the beginning of when I started coming on here, Ian, I'd bought at the charity shop Roots.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And then about a couple of months later, I bought a new packaging version of Roots, which included Roots: The Next Generation, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
And I said, well, you might as well have my old copy, but I haven't been able to find my old copy. So I've still got that to do, believe it or not.
Roots: The Next Generation. I didn't know they'd done that. I didn't know about that one.
But right. Roots is famous for having a story by LeVar Burton, didn't it? From Next Generation. Talk about it was one of the early films that he did. You know, one of the because it was at a time where they'd show these little mini series of 3 episode things like Roots is. I think it's 3 episodes or 2. And then showed them over the bank holiday weekend because it'd be a Saturday, Sunday, and the Monday would be the final.
Yeah, good for ratings.
And it was at a time where I think we were blessed a little bit because there were dramatizations like Tenko and things like this on the BBC, and so we were sort of like really engrossed with these types of productions. But that was an American one. And so it had all those production values. You know, you saw it all the way from where Kunta Kinte was taken away from his family, you know, and put on the boat and then onto the slave ship, and then where he eventually ended up in the plantations. And you see all the other stories, don't you? Where they showed you the idea that if you stole something, they'd chop your hands off or chop your foot off or whatever it was to stop you from running or stealing or whatever.
And it went right through, didn't it? The Civil War and all this stuff
and then how certain slaves would impregnate the gentry, you know, and then, you know, and all of this, the embarrassment of all of that, and what you had to do about that, you know, whether slave would be whipped, or
Yeah.
the person that got impregnated, usually the daughter of some aristocrat or
Yeah.
something, was rushed away or something for the shame of it all, or whatever it was. But it was always the deep south and plantation.
Yeah, and you have the Klansmen, of course, and all that stuff going on. You had it all there, didn't you? It was a very good series.
Oh, very.
Yeah.
I've still got. I will sort that out. I've got to go
Yeah,
upstairs and sort
it's
out
a very
my
good
stuff.
series. And then Tony says, saw the original Roots on TV again years ago. Didn't know there was a new version.
Yeah, the next generation.
Yeah. And then David says, I think 2017, Tony, also got the case of the bloody iris on Shameless. All right. He says, Tony says, I'm still waiting on my Billy Liar 4K. It was delayed, but HMV messaged me today to say it's been dispatched. Oh, you might get that for weekend there. You'll have that to look forward to, Billy Liar. I know it's a big film that you like. You're just waiting for Zulu Dawn, aren't you, to be released?
Well,
yeah.
Well, you remember how I got my copy of that, don't you? I mean,
yeah. And then we've got Rocket Bunny. Good evening, all. I hope everyone is well. Thank you for joining us, Rocket Bunny. And then David says it's annoying when that happens. Tim Curry was in Annie and Congo as well. Oh, it was in Congo. Oh, right. And then Tony says hi, Rocket. And then Rocket Bunny says, hey, Tony. Then Tony says, David, case of Bloody Iris is a great. Oh, Giallo, starring the queen of the genre, Edwige Fenech. I don't know, it's probably the wrong pronunciation. Have you any more with her in? Uh-oh. She's one of those, is she? Something to get excited about. Yeah. And then Tony, I don't think I have, but I can't be sure. And then Tony says, just ordered a new BF I release. Oh yeah, Nuts in May, a Mike Lee comedy drama in the same vein as Abigail's Party, but set at a campsite. Also starring Alison Steadman from Abigail's Party. Yeah, I saw that. I wondered about the Nuts in May. And then Tony says, I recommend you check filmography, David. A couple of Giallo I can think of, the top of my head of hers are All the Colors of the Dark and Strip Nude for Your Killer. I love these titles. And then David says, that's brilliant, Tony. Saw it on TV years ago. And then Tony says, is that Nuts in May, David? I'm taking a chance with it. Never seen it, but saw Abigail's Party on TV ages ago. Mike Lee is usually a good watch, as is Alison Steadman. And Abigail's Party is always mentioned in sort of the history as being a sort of a big thing at the time. As a, I don't know, it was in Play for Today originally. I think when they used to have that series, Play for Today. And it was a big ratings. It did really well, I think. And then we've got Tony. Please bring the corner back. Oh yes, the Tony York corner.
I dare say he's missing a few parcels not being sent.
And then Tony says the Collinson twins. Yes, you're getting. Oh God, yeah, they are really good. Slipknot says, "Sup, hello, Slipknot, welcome as always." And then Tony says, "Hi, Slip." And then Slipknot says, "Good evening to Tony, David, and Rocket Bunny." Tony says, "Dennis Price was desperate for work, I think, towards the end of his career." Yeah, that's what I read about him. He'd just take anything, absolutely anything. I don't know. Well, I think he still may have had a drinking problem, but he had a lot of debt. That's all I know. It's a sad stories. And then Tony, but like a poor man's version of Terry Thomas, in my opinion. Terry Thomas. Another, I think, who had quite a sad ending as well. I think Terry Thomas did as well. It's it is sad when these people just disappear and perhaps die in poverty. I think he may have died in poverty.
Terry Thomas is, I think, the last film I think I saw with him, and it was Spanish Fly. Do you remember that? Bloody awful film.
That's how bad it was it?
Was it Leslie Phillips or something?
Oh, yeah.
They were selling bottles of wine that made people randy.
So it's typical British humour.
Pretty awful film.
It's the sort of thing Carry On would have done better.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
It was all set in Spain, and it was just an excuse for two old blokes from that had great days in the past, and they were on their way out, and an excuse for women to get their boobs out. Basically,
that's very British comedy at that era. That's all it is, isn't it? It says A Fistful of Dynamite isn't a rip-off, Ian, isn't it?
No, it's not.
It's a Sergio Leone. Very good. All right. Oh, well, that's good.
We talked about it last week.
Yeah. And then that's what I was thinking, David. Sure, we mentioned it last week. You're right. Your memory's not that bad, you know. You think it is? Aka Duck You Sucker. Yes, brilliant.
Because that conversation came out when I was talking about Ennio Morricone.
Yes, yeah. Oh, yeah, and of course, this one that everybody mentions. Yes, we did, Tony. Once Upon a Time in America needs a good release. Yeah.
Which there is one, but it's costly.
Yeah.
Do you remember I showed my big box edition that cost me 60 quid?
Yeah, that's a lot of money, yeah.
And you have to go to Germany to get it.
Yeah. And then Tony says, never seen that, David. Heard lots of it. Just one of those I've not got round to. It's a very long running time, I think. And Delboy says, hey, are you popping again? My 4K, Once Upon a Time in America, was an import. Quite costly as well, like she just said. David said, it was his last movie, Tony. Very good, 1984. And then we've got Don't Sub Gary says, hello, people. Hello, Don't Sub. Welcome. And then Tony York says, might try a DVD of it sometime.
It's interesting about Leone because whenever you watch a documentary about Clint Eastwood or Sergio Leone, you always think to yourself that towards the end they didn't like each other, which is far from the truth. It's just that Clint Eastwood had a falling out, I think, famously with Warner Brothers about he never owned anything, and he was always a bit player on things, and he was never going to be there or do anything for film studios where they could peddle his stuff and he gets nothing back. And one of the things that Leone asked him to do was to do the voiceovers for other countries, I think, of films. And it's not that they fell out over it, but it's just that there was a disagreement about how things are handled in Hollywood, and so they didn't really talk about it too much. But he always turned around and said that his career wouldn't be anything without Leone. So that's why it's really difficult when you hear a story like that, that you think to yourself that they didn't like each other. Of course they did. They respected each other. It's just Leone was part of that machine that makes films in this particular way, and Eastwood was pushing against that way, saying it shouldn't be like this. That's all it is. So yeah, it's interesting. You can watch all these documentaries on Sky Documentaries and all sorts of, on YouTube and all of that sort of stuff. They're very interesting stories.
Yeah, that's good. And then we've got Don't Sub saying hello, Ian and Del. Is Del doing an impression of a humbug? He does that at Christmas. Him and Jenny. Christmas humbug. And then,
The last time
something
somebody commented about this, I was dressed up as a Newcastle supporter or something. It's actually brown and white. It's been hot today, and I've had to change my shirt a couple of times.
Yeah,
it's been a very busy day for me actually, because we changed. My mum's bed was being serviced, and they actually had to swap it out. So we had to get my mum out of her bed. Then it had to be dismantled, the bed. Then they had to bring the other one in and put that together. Then it had to be tested. Then we had to get my mum back into bed, and all of this while I'm trying to do work as well. Plus my physio walk that I do at lunchtime. Plus, as soon as my sister's gone, getting everything ready for me to be on here. So I'm sort of like knackered. But I tried to keep the energy levels up.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed this. I try, but sometimes it's like, God, I'm tired. You know what I mean? But today's been exceptionally
tiring.
Oh,
you'll sleep well tonight.
Yeah, basically.
Very well. There'll be no lying awake. And then David says, "You are lucky, Del. I don't think I had a decent. It's had a decent UK release. I did get Alto Nights for a $5 on Blu-ray a couple of weeks ago.
You get some bargains, David. We want to know these things at the same time you're buying them, because by the time we get to look, they've gone bloody up in price to like 15 quid, or you can't get them anymore.
Oh yes, today I got I saw in my alerts, it says, "Oh, Jim Jam sent you an alert," and I looked, and it was a bargain. But I'm not a big fan of the film. It was honestly Romper Stomper. It said was £2. £2. For me, it's a one-time watch. I've seen it, and that was it. But £2 is cheap. It is cheap, but probably by the time you've looked it up, it's probably gone. I would imagine that kind of price. But anyhow, thank you, if Jim Jam Man. I don't know if he's come in, but. I say thank you for sending that alert. I mean, that is cheap, but by the time I got it, probably would be all gone anyhow. And then Don't says, Indel, can you expert settle an argument I have with my brother? It's about Steptoe and Son, right? And you said, yeah, fire away. And Don't says, my brother says the and son refers to Harold. I'm sure that in one late episode, they say that Anne's son is actually Albert, which is correct.
Now I've got the answer to that. What do you want to say about that?
Well, I would have said that Anne's son is Harold. Yeah,
you both are right. You both are right, actually. Right, it's a bit convoluted, this, but there is an episode, right?
Right.
But what you have to remember is that the family of Steptoe and Son has been there for quite some years, because they talk about that life, and it's been passed on through the generations. So of course, at some point, Harold, and Albert were both sons. So you're both right. You see what I mean? Because he would have been part. He wouldn't have been.
Yes. Son. Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense. Yeah, I get that totally. Yeah, it's a good answer.
Yeah, they call it totting, don't they? That was it. Totting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they were talking about totting. Even in the film, there's an indication of it, because in Steptoe and Son Ride Again, Albert is trying to get the money from life insurance, and all of the totters come around and give him one of those totters funerals.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Yeah.
So they even talk about then saying that it's been in that family for this many years.
Yeah.
So it is quite true. They both have been called son at some point, but in relation to what Galton and Simpson were trying to do, it was always, that Albert was the dad and Harold was the son. You know what I mean? But it's expanded upon in the fact that the family goes back years, generations.
Yeah. Yeah, I like where, in a way, they had a very simple idea, and then were able to expand it. The idea that Harold wasn't allowed to leave home, that he needed, his dad relied so much on him, and it's a simple idea, but yet they were able to create all that. It's wonderful, isn't it?
It's a trait that's in a lot of comedies from the 70s and 80s. So, Steptoe and Son is a product of what, the early 60s?
That's right, yeah, 60s.
I don't think it was late 50s. I think it was early 60s.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And even if you look at something like Only Fools and Horses, Del was that person that had to look after his little brother because his mum died and his father went away, and he was looking after Granddad. But then he ended up being the parent of the whole family. It's exactly the same. His dad is old, getting older, keeps saying how frail he is, all of that, most disgusting guy, and so he hangs around, but he always wants to go away, get married, all of that sort of stuff.
It's sad. It's very sad.
But he's always pulled back.
Yeah. It's funny because it's like you've got a great comedy there, and it's all the situations. Yeah, it's a very sad situation. Harold is a very sad character, really, isn't it?
It's very, very rich.
Yeah.
This is the thing that you don't really get too much in comedies anymore. You watch things like The Big Bang Theory and Friends and all of that sort of stuff. Because there are so many characters in it, I think it weakens.
It's interesting.
It weakens it because you've only got 2 characters in this, and therefore you keep adding layers and layers. It's like onions and unraveling and all of this sort of stuff. Oh, they want to go on holiday. Oh, he hasn't got a passport. Something happened in the World War. Blah 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 blah. It goes on and on and on. If you're looking at something like Rachel or something in Friends, what have you got? A 2-dimensional character that you're just piling on things. You have to have 9 or 10 series of it to actually get to it having a history. Otherwise, what is she other than she was the daughter of and friend of the Gellers or whatever it is, and she had a big nose and an operation and all that. That's all you really know. Just look at the character and the depth of those 2. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You get more depth in that than probably any other comedy that I can think of. But you've even got depth in someone like Norman Stanley Fletcher in Porridge, and you only forget to know about him from what he tells you in prison. But you hear about all the stuff like, oh yeah, I remember where I was when I got nicked the first time, or when he was a teddy boy, or what car or bike that he was riding around in the 50s and 60s and all of this sort of stuff, because he'd been in prison more times than he'd been probably out. But you still have a story about his family, his wife, all of that sort of stuff. I swear, I'm not gonna poo-poo things like Friends, because there are people that like it, and I liked it at the beginning. It's just I do think they're 2-dimensional.
Yeah, I never watched it.
2-dimensional.
Friends is not on my thing. It's just not my generation. But yeah, I think the genius of Steptoe and Son has to be the acting and the writing. The writing
and the acting,
that standard. The fact that they could consistently write scripts like that must have taken a lot of work. I don't know how many episodes there would be in a series, but in those days it would have been quite a lot. It would certainly be more than 6.
Yeah.
6 is the standard sort of episodes now. But for them to be doing that kind of writing is incredible.
It's a one-room comedy.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
It was done on a budget. It was part of the comedy half hour
Yeah.
which was a pilot that they then
Yeah.
turned into a series.
That's right.
You know, so and really, it had one outdoor scene where you saw, I think, Harold on the horse coming into
Yeah,
the
you'd always have that. Yeah. Yeah.
coming into the
Yeah.
courtyard, and
Yeah.
then from then on, it was just in the living room.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
from that point of view, why it wasn't turned into something that could be a play in a theatre, I don't know, because there are very few scenes outside of the living room. Obviously, there's some kitchen scenes, and the bedroom scenes, but it's very, very compact, and it's all based on them in that room, wandering around, finding stuff in the background, whatever it is, just to keep the momentum going. Otherwise, it's them sitting around a table.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
And
he would be sitting at his bureau. I can see him now. He'd be sitting at his bureau, and there would be his dad round the table going,
that's right.
Talking about, and back chatting.
And also, the public just lapped it up. And the fact that the BBC kind of gave them the Christmas specials made it even more fantastic. Those Christmas specials were big. People were looking forward to those Christmas specials, weren't they? They were like the Morecambe and Wise show. Everybody looked forward to that. And they were also looking forward to Steptoe and Son Christmas specials. There were just something about the way TV was in those days. Christmas TV was very different from what it is now. And those were things people look forward to. And I always remember, oh, great, Steptoe and Son on. I loved it. You always wanted to know, even though you probably knew the Christmas was going to be pretty miserable for them, but it was great. You loved it, didn't you? You just absolutely loved it. That's how good the series was, and the fact that it went back to the 60s and then they redid it again in the 70s. Development. I mean, it's one of the all-time great series that the BBC has produced.
Like whatever happened to the Lightly Lads is the same.
Yeah, they did exactly the same thing, and it was a success as well.
That was two friends working in a factory.
Yeah. But do you think that this kind of comedy can never happen again?
I will say never. I'll never say never.
Yeah.
But there was a guy that was on today turning around talking about Mrs. Brown's Boys.
Now
how the internet has exploded about. It's not going to be on because he's broken his jaw, but they think that there's something more serious going on.
Yeah.
And this guy was turning around and saying Victoria Wood was constantly battling the BBC because they had a successful show, but they always wanted it off air because they were embarrassed by it.
Wow.
Apparently the BBC were embarrassed by it.
Wow.
And I was trying to understand what he meant, but then he started going into it's the same with Last of the Summer Wine. They could have gone on for years and years and years.
Yeah, well, they did for a long time, didn't they? I don't know how many years.
No, but it could have gone further than it actually did, but they stopped it. And but they were on a gold mine, really, because you can talk to so many different generations of people about that, but you can't do that with anything else when it comes to comedies now these days, because they do one season and then end it.
Yeah,
that seems to be what the model of comedy is these days.
And to me, I think, and I have to say this, I've been a big champion. Android proves that you can still produce a great series, and I hope that gets a second series. The BBC can still do it. It's the genius of you said of Diane Morgan. She's brilliant, and
it might do, because she was in a series called Motherland, and that went on for 3 seasons.
Yes, I hope. I've got fingers crossed that they will do more. But I say they've only done 6 episodes. That's how it is. But it was for me, it was a refreshing series. She's
and it's
good.
topical as well, because it's all about AI and chat GPT and all sorts of,
so talented, and the script I loved it, and it just proves that there still is, to me, that they still can produce good original. The word original comedy, because over the years the BBC, I think, has just probably put stacks of comedies that we can't even remember. Same as probably ITV. I mean, there must be loads. At one time, they used to have comedies and comedies, and they'd have probably one series.
Yeah.
That's it. Nobody remembers them. They're all forgotten, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. What has happened to comedy on the TV? Yeah.
Well, you don't see writers like Galton and Simpson anymore. I will say that.
But I say, when Android offers hope that we've got somebody who's a really good writer.
Yeah.
And
well, that's Diane Morgan and a long-term friend that wrote. They did the chat. They did the comedy circuit together, I think.
Yeah.
Because usually she'd write with Charlie Brooker and all of that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. A bit of news. I saw that today that they're we are going to get another series, aren't we? Of
Black Mirror, yeah.
Which is something to look forward to.
But it just still, again, disappoints me that you can only get the BBC editions and that's it.
Yeah.
And then they're really hard to get hold of on physical media, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I know. It's bad, that.
Which brings me to something that Denny told me as well, just to get this off my chest. It's the good news about 20th Century Fox films suddenly starting to appear in 4K.
Yeah.
And what he told me as well is that Sony are actually as well bringing out a new 4K player at the beginning of next year.
People were talking about that, weren't they?
Because somebody said on the internet, I think it was Tech Mode actually, he said that the version that you get of the Sony 4K player that's on the market at the moment is last year's model, but it's actually based on the 2017 model, but they took stuff away from it and upped the price. So they took the Wi-Fi away, took the Bluetooth away, rebadged it, and then charged more than the one that you bought in 2017. Right?
Yeah.
And no wonder with LG not making a player since 2018 that people buy Panasonics.
Yeah.
Because there aren't many brands out there with players that you can buy because they're models from donkeys years ago. They just haven't expanded upon them. Right.
Yeah.
So you have to go to those boutique sort of like 4K players that cost $1,000, that are made of solid aluminium and all that. And they're, jack of all trades, and they've got more connections at the back than you can, that you'd connect it to a server or something, right? And they cost $1,000 or something.
Yeah.
And people aren't prepared to do that
because
what they want to do is put a disc in and play it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm quite right. I can understand people not, but there we are. There's an interesting point that David says, I did watch Sleepers with my wife a couple of weeks ago. Hadn't seen it for years. Sleepers.
I thought he said he hadn't slept with his wife for a few years. Then I had to read it twice.
Yeah. Well, what is Sleepers? What film's that? I don't know.
Isn't that a 90s film?
I don't know. I don't know it.
Yeah.
Sleepers.
I've got a long distance memory of something called Sleepers, but I might be thinking of a totally different film.
And what kind of Sleepers is it? Is it?
No, it came out around the same time as like Flatliners.
Oh, it's that kind of. I was thinking of Spies and stuff like that. It's not.
But like I said, I can't quite remember it. I'm probably thinking of a totally different film. I'm tired, so basically, I'm not the best person to ask about that.
I always think of there's an excellent film, isn't there? We've talked about it before, but it's always worth talking.
I'll tell you what. While we're there, you talk. I'll tell you what Sleepers is.
Awakenings with Robert De Niro and Robin Williams. Absolutely wonderful. It's based on a true story. I love Awakenings, and I say connection with sleepers because all these extraordinary things happen. These people have this disease that just puts them to sleep for years and years and years. They all wake
Right.
up.
Do you want to know about Sleepers?
Go on then. Yeah.
So it's a 1986 film by Barry Levinson.
Right.
4 young men are sent to a detention center after a prank goes wrong.
Right.
There they are abused by the guards, damaging their psyche. 13 years later, they decide to bring the culprits to justice. It's a courtroom drama.
Vengeance. Interesting. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
But I was right around about the years, 1990s, Flatliners, all that sort of stuff. But I couldn't remember what Sleepers was, I have to say.
Yeah. And then Don't Subgain. Ian, looking at that DVD box, is it a misprint? Surely it's Cemetery with a C. I've not seen the film though.
It is spelled, I must admit, it does say Cemetery with an S.
Looking at it again. Yeah, it is an S, is it?
Yeah.
There it is.
But I don't know if I don't think if the book spelling is that.
Ah, right. I don't know. And then Tony says, I don't so didn't see you until I changed my settings. That happens every week, doesn't it?
Yeah, you got to go to live chat.
Yeah. And then Tony Don't Sub says, yeah. Tony says, Ian, Peter Cushing is an animated related anthology. The Uncanny, yeah, I've heard of that. I've not seen that. Featuring cat stories. Sure, I have the DVD. Ah, right. Yeah, I've heard of the Uncanny. I didn't know that they were all cat stories. I might have to try and check that out. It sounds quite good.
I can see that winging its way to you when he's got an upgrade happening.
Winging. Oh dear, yeah. Actually, yeah. I may have an interesting video coming up soon. A box might appear. That's all I'm saying. Somebody who I know has said that they.
I like his picture this week.
Yeah, it's not, and it's not the Tony York corner. It's somebody else who might be sending.
No, but you see that picture, right? There's at the moment. There's a little red sort of like play button, right? So all I keep seeing is the black pant.
Black pant. Black pants. Sorry. Oh dear. What is it? A pair of pants? Oh, pants don't go wild.
Yeah, I got a pair of black pants.
Killer pants. Killer pants. They can strangle you around the waist.
Just made me laugh every time it comes up. I go, the black pant.
I like it. And then Tom says, interesting question, Dotson. I've always assumed it referred to Harold. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, it was a good question, wasn't it? Yeah. Ian, have you seen Storm of the Century season Stephen King? No, I've not seen that. There's lots in there, Stephen King, to catch up. I definitely want to get more Stephen King. And of course, as I say, he's not just done horror, has he? He's done all sorts.
Well, he did that TV series about a village that was trapped in a bubble that was seen to be something about aliens.
Yeah. What was that one called? Oh, yeah. I don't know. I do remember that one.
And I do remember going to the cinema to see Thinner.
Oh yes, Thinner as well. Yeah.
Which I always thought was like a short story, and they made it really quite long because it's all about a gypsy woman that curses him, and he gets and he just keeps getting thinner and thinner and thinner, doesn't he? Yeah. But it's one of those monkey paw stories that you could you could do a comic strip of it in about 6 panels, but they made it into an hour and 40 minute film.
It's funny that story, Monkey's Paw. It's one that you learn about as a child almost, as that's when I heard about it. And it's continued that idea, hasn't it? It sort of sticks in this psyche about, because in a way, Pet Cemetery is like Monkey's Paw, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, that sort of basic storyline. Yeah.
Well, I was because my dad bought me sort of like comics, and I mean, as much as I like the Beano and the Dandy and all of that sort of stuff, I used to love it when my dad would get me something like Tales of Suspense.
Oh yeah,
and they would just be these Twilight Zone 6-page panel things of about a bloke that looked in a mirror one day and his doppelganger came out or whatever it was. They used to not scare me, but I was like, oh, what? This is great. Love this.
Yeah.
They were done by things like EC Comics or something. They were black and white with a nice coloured pattern. There would be a painting on the front that got you engrossed in it. But they were mostly black and white, like those old Commando comics and all of that sort of stuff, but a bigger edition. But I only ever used to get one every 3 months or something. I never used to get them every month. It would be when my dad was a bit flush and bought me one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just love that stuff. It's probably where Twilight Zone is ingrained on me because of the short story nature of it with a twist.
Yeah. Yeah, the Monkey's Paw is obviously responsible for people's imaginations in terms of creating ideas like that. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Paw, isn't it?
Yeah. I remember the teacher reading that story out at school as a child, you know, and obviously it was like a bit scary for a lot of people, some people. But a great story, absolutely great story.
3 wishes, which all have a consequence to them. I mean, it's as old as time, really, isn't it?
It's a great idea, yeah. And the knock at the door, you know, it's really creepy, isn't it? Wonderful, yeah, yeah. Those were the days, wasn't there? Right. Dot says, I'm not sure. In one episode, Albert says his dad picked the name, just can't find the episode. I don't know.
Well, again, that would turn round and say to you that if Albert's dad picked the name, then Albert was the son.
Yeah.
See, whichever way you look at it. I think I've watched enough documentaries. I'm pretty sure it was mentioned that it was supposed to be steptoe and son, and it's because you've got the elder and you've got the son. But as they've piled on history behind each of the characters, you realise therefore that the Totters have been, you know, gone through the years and generations, and it's been passed down. You know what I mean?
Makes sense. It does make sense, yeah. And then Tony says, so long since I've seen any episodes, I wouldn't remember Dirt Sub. Thank you. I'm very excited. Well,
that's about the 10 Commandments of Ben Hur.
Yeah. And then Tony says, don't think epics are popular now for TV showings due to the limited attention span of younger generations. Yeah. You've got a very good point there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's a story on them, you see. And if there's a story, you probably lost them instantly.
Yeah, I'll say it's a bit slow. It's a bit slow. How many times have we heard that? It's a bit slow. Hey, what's Ben Hur doing?
I swear they probably went into the kitchen, got themselves a sandwich, come back and said, what, they ain't got off that boat yet?
Yeah.
You know, or something like that. Bloody how long was this film?
Yeah. What's he doing?
And then you have to remind them, it's called the Titanic. What you'd expect. It's on a boat, isn't it? The whole film's on a bloody boat. What are you on about?
Yeah, get on with Iceberg. Go on, where's this?
Go and make another sandwich. They'll still be on the boat, you daft sods. You know what I mean?
It's true. It's so blowing true. I mean, what do they expect? You've got a film about the Titanic. Don't we want to know the characters in the Titanic? You've got to have a bit of build-up and an idea of what the Titanic was all about as a film, as a boat. You've got to know about it. You can't
Yeah.
just suddenly, oh, that was an iceberg. Oh, there we are, action. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. It would be awesome.
I swear they must think that films should be 10 minutes long or something.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Get on with action. Let's see all the boats.
Wait, when the end comes up.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It's like, isn't that the most horrible idea about the idea of that you go to a cinema and it was it you who was talking about this? Somebody was talking about this. And it's the phone. It's not a widescreen. It's the phone, but the phone where you look on like that, the oblong upside down of a phone. Imagine going to a cinema and watching that.
Denny was talking about the fact that there's a bloke called Digital Bits or something like that, and he was saying that it's coming around the corner. That when they start making films, and it will be done in the same sort of orientation as TikTok. That somebody was going to turn around and say, I want a 4K version of that when it comes out on physical media. And it's like, what? And of course, the only thing that because I never watched this Digital Bits, I do know that the old guard, like Martin Scorsese will always say, you should be watching this at the cinema. He doesn't even like it when you watch it on telly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when he gets to his age and people are watching films on phones, he goes ballistic.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not how it's supposed to be watched.
No.
It's supposed to be watching this with the experience of watching it projected on a big screen and all of this sort of stuff. And I get both sides of the story, but I'm the old guard as well a little bit.
I am, because sometimes you can watch a short, right? And clearly they can't fit everything in because you've only got that. So you've got, like, say, Basil Fawlty, that like they'll do a Fawlty Towers bit, and you can't really see what is going on. You hear the dialogue, but you can't see Basil because it's a very physical thing. You can't see him. So what's the point of that? What is the point? There's no point at all, is there?
I mean, I do know that certain directors have filmed on film, but they also filmed at the same time on their Apple iPhones.
Oh yeah, I have heard
and incorporated it into the film because it's done digital now.
Yeah,
right? Because some of the scenes worked out better with the camera in the phone than that. But he was talking more about the phone in its
watching in the phone this way
in its portrait orientation.
Not like that. Yeah, the other way around. Yeah, I can see him doing that.
But me and Denny turned around and said, "Who in their right mind's going to buy the 4K edition of the Blair Witch Project? It was done on a Sony Handycam."
It's true. Actually, that's perhaps it's the most important.
Well, you might as well just buy the DVD version because that's the resolution that you're going to get.
A 4K of the Blair Witch Project.
I mean, it's not supposed to look like it was done.
It's meant
on
to
top
look
end Panavision cameras, was it? It's lost. It's a lost footage film.
That's right.
Where the videotape's been in a bush or something for the last 20 years and just been discovered or something.
But what they'll do then, though, is they might film it like that, and then they'll put a layer over it of scratches and bits and something. So they'll do it like that. They try to make something look as if it's like that. I don't know. Anyhow, Dot Sub says, Ten Commandments is a fun film, but I feel they should say this is make-believe and not real at the start. Yeah, it's true. There's no historical evidence that Moses even existed. Now, not many people know that, but it's true. There is absolutely no historical evidence at all. So it's a good story. It's a brilliant story. It's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. I mean, all that Nile turning to red the
there's been people desperately trying to find the Ten Commandments, but what a surprise! They've not been able to find the Ten Commandments on these stone things, you know. I always thought that, there's a thing that the Jews have, don't they? This, I don't know much about the religion, but there's a thing that they carry around, and they have all these scrolls in. Originally, I thought, oh, perhaps they've got the Ten Commandments in those. That's where origin of that came from, but clearly it doesn't.
The Ark.
Yeah, there's like a thing that they have this.
The Ark of the Covenant, but they carry. Yeah, they do carry around their own scrolls. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, that's it. Yeah, but you can't carry around all these concrete.
Didn't Leonard Nimoy sort of like talk about his where he got his symbol from?
Yes,
he said that he wasn't supposed to look at the rabbi that was doing the prayer or something.
Yeah,
and he looked up one day. He was not supposed to, and he saw him doing this.
And
that's where he got that from.
Yeah.
That's where I think that sums it up in a nutshell about religion, because it's like a fable, or a story. You weren't supposed to know about it. It's just that somebody looked up when they shouldn't have done and wrote this story out, because it was said or something.
And then over the years,
but it would look a bit a bit silly though if it said, once upon a time, there was a baby there was a baby going down a river, and he was called Moses or whatever it was. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
It makes it an exciting story about the idea, doesn't it? And all that stuff. But yeah, like Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat and all that stuff. Good musical, they say.
Anyway, I better go and check on my mum. So
okay,
it's 10 o'clock.
Is it? Oh right, we're doing all right. Yeah, 10 o'clock. Right. Yeah. Yeah, Joseph and Technicolor Dreamcoat, not my kind of thing, really. I know Andrew Lloyd Webber and all that stuff. Popular though. And then must admit, that's how I feel about it. Don't sub. Yeah, exactly. And then Del, it's a whole new version of Roots. You see, not the Next Generation. We need to save this. They did a new take of Roots in 2017. Oh, Forrest Whitaker, isn't it? He's good, yeah. Yeah. So it's a new version of Roots. Yeah. I wondered that, when you said, but there you are. Tony says, have you seen the slave-based film starring James Mason and Susan George, Mandingo? Oh, God, that's years ago. Yeah. It's a bit of a sort of, at the time, quite controversial. A bit of naughty bits. Well, Susan George. That must be it. Yes, I do remember Mandingo. It's one of them, certainly, films. Delboy, yeah, David. I mentioned Next Generation, as many don't know it, but I do know the reimagination of what is I call those remakes. Laugh out loud. Yeah, that's a very Disney term, isn't it? Reimagination. Yeah, they love using reimagination. Sometimes it means let's, make a really bad version of it, but reimagine it. Oh God, I got Tron Ares Del on Blu-ray for £6. Oh crikey! He's £6. They're not. I'm not a Tron fan, as you probably know, but I think a lot of Tron people don't like Ares, but £6. And if you're a fan of the series, then that's an excellent price. You can't go wrong. £6. £6 for a Blu-ray. Yeah, you would get it, even if the film isn't, isn't considered as good. I don't blame you. If you like Tron, then go for it. And then I think both those Mike Lee titles were originally played for today. He's got a BFI release of several other plays from the series. Yeah, And it's a great era, isn't it? To think the BBC did Play for Today's. I mean, what a wonderful thing. Just wouldn't do those things nowadays. I've always fancied getting some of those, more of these Play for Today, see what they're like. Yeah, I might do. I might be open to it. Yeah. And then Tony says, Terry Thomas was ill for several years and did live in a very humble surroundings for a time. Very sad, as you say. It is, yeah. We forget about this about actors sometimes. Actors, we always think they become quite big, what they do, and we think, oh God, they must be making lots of money. But that money disappears for some people because they can't get any more work. And once you can't get work, that's it in the acting profession. It is very sad. I think it is. And I think that's why they try and, the union and what have you, they should try and sort of look after actors and things like that. It is important, I think, I hope this spat with Russia fizzles out. I don't want my collection nuking. Let's hope it is the word spat with Russia. We've got to be confident. We've got to be confident that it is all just that. We don't want threads, do we? What a horror film that is. Yeah. Tony says Putin has been threatening ever since the start of his UK-1 special operation. Does it try and frighten Europe into stopping sending aid? Joseph says, Ian Dell, it says at the bottom, ask us anything. So here is a weird question. That's all right. You can ask us anything. Quite honest. Oh, crikey. What was the last device or machine that you wired to a plug-in? Oh my God, I remember that. God, they used to do that, didn't they? There was no plug, was there? You had to put it on yourself. God, where was the last one I did? I'm trying to think. God, it would be years and years ago. Ooh. I know what it could have been. When I had a portable cassette recorder, I got, because the portable cassette recorders, they gobbled up the batteries. You'd have the, going round and you'd have them, but you did get a lead where you could plug it in and do it like that. And I'm sure that was exactly the same. This is probably early 70s. It could have been into late. No, probably would be early 70s when cassette recorders came out. And I remember the excitement of getting a cassette recorder. It's fantastic. The little mic that you had and doing all these recordings. But I do remember, I'm sure, that you had to do put the plug in. And I remember my dad showing me what to do. They did have a little label, as I remember, which would say you put the red one into this one and all that kind of stuff. And you'd carefully do it and make sure that the wire bit was round the thing. It was quite an operation, wasn't it? But I don't know why they suddenly changed, thank heavens, because it was always a bit of a fiddle, it seemed to me. You wondered, why didn't they put the connect them together? That's my sort of memories of it. I just thought at the time, I thought it was a bit daft. I was thinking, well, why can't they just stick a plug on it? Surely it wouldn't take that much for them to do it. And then suddenly, that was it. It was the norm. You could say it did teach me how to put a plug together and on. And I'm not the most practical person, but it did teach me that, which I suppose is a good thing at the time. But of course, you had to get it right. If you didn't get that wrapped round properly, the plug wouldn't work. Oh, and of course, wasn't there also these little fuses? I think you had to have a fuse in, because sometimes you'd put it and say, oh, the fuse isn't working, so the thing wouldn't work properly. And I was always scared of something happening when you plugged it in, like an electric shock or something like that. But yeah, I do remember the little fuses. They put these tiny little fuses in. You definitely had to make sure that you had enough of the wire wrapped around those things in the right position. That's my sort of memory of them. And I always thought, why are we doing this? And of course, it just suddenly changed, and nobody thinks about it again. It's one of those memories that you have of that period, and I don't know why they did it. There's no real clear explanation why. It's almost like they thought, oh, we can't be bothered. Well, the customer can do it. It was almost like it was too much effort for them to bother putting a plug on, and said leave it to us to fiddle about with. But you could say at least my dad taught me something, how to do it. But it was great news, wasn't it, when there was no plugs? Absolutely wonderful. And thank heavens we don't have that, because I'd still be cursing and going mad if I had to do that. God blimey. It would. You wouldn't want to be doing that. Especially, you just think of this. You've bought your television, you've got your Blu-ray, DVD, 4K player, you got all this set up, and then you've got to put the blooming plug in. The excitement level would be so annoying having to put a plug in, wouldn't it? Because you're there excited. Oh, I've got it all here. Wonderful. I absolutely love it. And then, oh no, I've got to put the blooming plug in. And you can't set it up without, that was a great practice, which thank heavens they got rid of. A horrible, not a great practice, a horrible practice. And thank heavens I don't have to do anything like that. Hopefully never ever again. I mean, it is possible. The only thing that could happen now, and it has, is if a fuse somehow goes. I must admit I've not had that for years. I don't know even if there is fuses in there. God, I suppose there is. I mean, the only area that I get of the fuse is in the. I'm looking over here because I'm thinking that's where the junction box is. And sometimes when something happens, you hear this click noise, and for whatever reason, one of the things has gone up, and you just open it up. Part of electricity in some rooms may have disappeared, and they say, "Oh, it's the fuse that's gone," and you just click it back up again. There's no fiddling about, and you're back. You're back. It has happened. I remember I put the kettle on, and suddenly the kettle goes off, and what's happening? I hope the kettle's not broken. And then I'm thinking, so is everything else, like the toaster or whatever, is gone. And it's the thing, and all you have to do is just click that up. So we don't have this fiddling about on plugs anymore. I'm just so glad that they stopped that practice. It was, you could imagine if they brought that back, there'd be uproar. People would be absolutely cross, wouldn't they? Because now we just take it for granted. Thank heavens. I'm so pleased we have. And then Tony York says, just seen the top CIA man has been to Moscow to see his opposite number. Various rumors about why. Some say it's to warn off Putin from conducting these hybrid attacks on Europe. Interesting. You're more up on it than I am. I tend to see that news and I kind of ignore it. I show my son Love Thy Neighbor, and he was shocked they couldn't make that today. Yeah, it's of its time. They couldn't. There is no way they would make it today. I think I can understand people of this generation, the newer generation, thinking, God, and yeah, I mean, at the time, it's an interesting subject, Love Thy Neighbor. And even at the time, I think sometimes people could be uncomfortable with it. But yeah, it was always showing them were rather stupid characters, and it was the women that were the reasonable ones. The women were the good characters, and the two men arguing with each other and calling each other names, and names that possibly people never used in real life either. I don't know. I mean, I've never seen that level of racism. I'd never come across it portrayed. So, I mean, I never heard anybody going around about saying snowflake and all that kind of stuff. I just never heard that. So I don't know whether it was based on any reality at all, or it was just made up by the writer.
What have I missed?
Yeah. Sorry?
What have I missed?
Oh, something that really brought back loads of memories about plugs. About
plugs?
When you used to buy a plug, you had to put it in yourself. Do you remember that? You'd get.
Oh yeah.
So there was talking about that.
Well, most things are molded plugs these days.
And I was talking about, when you got it and having to learn how. My dad showing me how to do it, and you had a fuse in the plug and all this kind of stuff. It was quite fiddly.
You still have that, but you don't get to the plug.
Yeah,
they're what they call molded plugs these days, with fuses that are there's a little compartment that you pull up with a screwdriver, and it comes out. But yeah, I was the person in our family that used to have to put the plugs on, because famously, even the old VHS players came with a wire with just the ends, which were blue, brown, and yellow and green.
That's right, yeah.
Which was blue was live, brown was earth, and neutral was the yellow. And
I just followed the diagram they put on.
Right.
And
of course you had the 3 prongs, because America only have 2 prongs.
Yeah. Yes.
They got a lower voltage and a different hertz rate as well. They've got 60, we've got 50. But yeah, I mean, so what was it? What was the question? What was the question?
Anybody can remember that, because it was
just remember it wasn't anything else.
Yeah. And then as I say, I remember when we went, oh look, the plug's back on there, and that was it.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting how it works, because when we got electricity, we had what they call circuit breakers, which we still have in the house. You flip a switch and it basically puts the current back through, but the switch flipping up breaks the circuit. That's why they were called circuit breakers. But then they learned that if you put a fuse in a plug and you've got the circuit breaker, you got double protection.
Yeah.
Right. But what they didn't realize was that the circuit would break. The circuit would still send a surge down the plug, and the plug would not break because there was no fuse, so it would blow the equipment. And this is why transistors in radios kept going.
Oh.
And then they put the fuse in the plug, but they didn't realize that the current would still go. It would stop, because all a fuse is a piece of wire that goes between the earth and the live, but it would still send a small amount. The circuit would break, but that surge would still go through and it would still blow up. So then they made circuit protection sockets.
Yeah.
So you've got now 3 forms of protection. You've got the circuit breaker, the surge protection, plus the fuse. And we don't hear about things going too much now, other than when there's an electrical problem in the area, and it basically all your equipment goes off for just a blink of a second, and it comes back on. Right.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But we everything these days is done via a USB cable with a plug. Do you know what I mean? The amount of plugs I've got, even here, look, with USB bloody plugs,
you've got loads of those.
And these are molded, look, with no fuse, but inside there's a fuse. It's you have to have it. Because otherwise you haven't got triple protection, have you?
Yeah.
But that's what we're looking for, the triple protection. I suppose that's why they call it the triple lock for pensions. Everything has to have 3 forms of backup, otherwise you've got a problem.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, it's a good.
You know what I mean?
Good point.
What else did I miss?
That was it, really.
All right.
We've done that, and as I said about Love Thy Neighbour, that's what.
Love Thy Neighbour. I showed my son Love Thy Neighbour, and he was shocked they couldn't make that today. No, which is a shame, because people in history think that was the reason for it is because of the racism in it, when actually it's a parody of a bigot.
Yeah.
That's what it is. The person that you should feel sorry for, really, is the white man. The character that plays that hates the black person that's living next door, because even then, with all of everything that was going on, he's the person that's got the problem, not the person that's black. Do you know what I mean? They gave as good as they got, which is why I like the comedy in it, because he'd call him the Milky Bar Kid. The character would call him the Milky Bar Kid, and he'd call him Nignog or whatever it was. Yeah. All of the old things that, the language that we shouldn't use anymore. But I think when it comes to comedy, censoring comedy is probably the biggest horrible thing that you can do, because that's why you can't make things like an Irishman, a Scotsman, and whatever it is going into a bar or something, because it's stereotyping.
Yeah. But, and also remember, you've raised this point before, but it's always worth remembering, is that new releases of some of these
censorship
could well be all censored now.
Yeah.
So it's best to buy old releases, the older ones that are not going to be messed up.
I always remember my conversation I had with Ronnie Barker, because he had an antique store in near where I live, and he said you should never be scared of words.
No,
words won't do anything to you. Our language keeps adapting, but you shouldn't scrub words out of the dictionary. They should be built upon.
Yeah.
New words will come along, but the old words are still there. We live where we adapt, but words are words, and that's how it is. That's why I find it really bad when a game will come out based in the 16th or 17th century called Pirates or something, and one of the commodities is slaves.
Oh yeah.
But they take that out and they replace it with sugar or cane beet or something. And I'm going, no, part of that commodity was that. Yeah. It was part of history. We've learned, but don't rewrite history.
Yeah.
It was there. We've learned from it. We know we're enlightened people.
Yeah.
But if you teach people this method, then we learn nothing, because you're not teaching them. You're just taking it away so they don't read about it.
Yeah. And I think people sometimes forget that slavery goes right back. There's me on about the Romans. Crikey, they had a big culture based on slavery.
Well, the Egyptians, weren't
Yeah,
it? How did
yeah,
they build them
Egyptians.
pyramids?
Yeah, there's all sorts of cultures that had slavery. It's not new. It's not new at all, is it?
No.
And it's still going on in the world today.
Am I a slave?
Yeah.
I work for someone. Basically, I'm a slave to.
Yeah.
This is what the prisoner was all about.
Oh
He,
yeah.
he was trapped on an island, but if he escaped from the island, he's still trapped by society, because society make you work and live in a certain way. So you're still a prisoner. That's the whole point of the whole series.
Yeah.
Right? You're trapped by conformity. That was the word, wasn't it? Conformity.
And then, because you go into areas of mind control and all that, subliminal messages, and that's what was so good about it.
So should they ban the prisoner now?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Some poor sod will come along and turn around and say, "Oh, you can't have that because that's a form of conformity and slavery, and he's in chains, really. So he can't have that." I mean, it's that same nonsense that Captain Scarlet was banned off of television for 10 years because there was a Colonel White and a Captain Black.
Oh yeah.
I mean, absolutely nonsense.
Ridiculous. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's called a spectrum for a reason. It's because in a spectrum, there's a spectrum of colors.
Yes.
They just had an army tier system that was where people were given colors as their attribute.
Yeah.
I mean, should he be banned because of that?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, don't get me. I mean, we could talk about that for hours.
People look. It's almost like people are deliberately looking for things. They are. They're just thinking, "Oh yeah, just because it was in the past, we're looking." It's like I see things. I know this is a subject area that I find quite interesting because I've been watching that. But I hear people saying that Doctor Who didn't have much black representation, but I've been watching a lot of classic Doctor Who, and there are black actors. People forget there weren't as many black actors available, but Doctor Who was employing black actors when it could. And that shows you what a progressive series it was. People get the wrong ideas. Oh no, it's all for white stuff, but no, it goes right through.
There's that famous story, isn't there, with William Shatner and Nichelle Nichols and their passionate kiss?
Yeah, of course.
When actually it wasn't the first interracial kiss on TV. There was one 6 months prior to that, but But what it is I think that they were in uproar because of the Bible Belt, if I remember rightly. Wasn't that one of the reasons why it was? Is because the Bible Belt would never accept that?
Yeah. God, imagine what they'd be like nowadays with all the gay kissing and stuff. Oh my God. Yeah, you see, you go from one extreme to the other. We're fine with that, but then suddenly it's become ideological identity politics, and that makes it bad again. We've gone from one extreme to the other. That's why I don't believe in extreme.
It's a different time. It's a time where you got a part in a TV show because of your acting ability, not because somebody says you've got to have 10% of your cast has got to be of a certain nationality.
Yeah.
Which I find absolutely ridiculous. It annoys me more than anything. That.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest. I've not seen any of the series, but I've seen the clips from it. The biggest, most ridiculous Star Trek series seems to be this Star Trek Academy. It is the worst of the worst. It's ridiculous. You just watch it and you're thinking, Klingons are not like that. I don't care what anybody says. You don't mess with Klingons. You don't make Klingons effeminate. I'm sorry, it's a gender thing, but I shouldn't be sorry. They're not like that.
Yeah.
No.
The thing about that, I mean, I must admit, I'm not proud of this. I did get to episode 4 of it.
Oh, crikey, you did, yeah. Wow, you did well.
But I stopped.
Yeah,
I just couldn't go any. I said, oh my God,
yeah.
I'm sorry. If this is Star Trek now, I don't really want
You
to
know
know
what? It's not
anymore.
your Star Trek or my Star Trek. Yeah.
This might work on a certain level for a certain audience, but
No, it's not us.
not
It
for me.
reflects the ideology of the time. But I'm hopeful that we've gone past that now. And that series has been
Yeah.
cancelled. And that there is hope that things will be better in the future.
It's the same sort of mentality that Dracula's teeth would be filed down to make them more blunt because they shouldn't be as sharp as that or something.
Yeah,
Right? I mean,
yeah,
that
yeah,
sort of mentality where you're going, what?
yeah, yeah,
He has to pierce the skin. He has to bite into a vein, their needles. So of course
yeah.
they made his teeth sharp. And you're coming along and say, "Oh, yeah, but you can't have that." The dentists have turned around and said he'd still be able to do it with blunter teeth, so we have to round them off or something, right? And I'll be going, "Why are you listening to this guy that's saying this? Why?"
Yeah,
I'd be
yeah,
like this. I'd be going, you know, scary creatures have got slimy skin. It's in our blood that we're scared of lizards. That's
yeah,
why we
of
have
course.
aliens that have got tails or
Yeah,
whatever, because we don't like spiders and snakes
yeah,
and things like that. So all aliens have got to be obviously looking like lizards or skin that's slimy or whatever,
yeah,
right? I don't want some guy coming along and just turning around and saying, "Oh, we'll just make him shiny." No,
yeah.
he's
No,
slimy.
yeah, it's got to be slime. It has. Yeah, it's true. That's a good point. I like it. I like that. It's true. You don't have it all smooth and yeah,
Yeah, it's just annoying.
yeah, yeah. Next, they'll be saying, "Oh, dragons! They shouldn't really be breathing fire. It's too dangerous."
Oh yeah,
What are you gonna? What are you gonna
there's the
get?
fire brigade.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. It's wasting resources. You might need the fire brigade. What are they going to puff? Perhaps they'll say, "No, well, dragons should be puffing anything." You know, yeah.
Yeah.
They could be anything. This is the level that we have been, but I think things are changing. I think it's bound to happen. You know, people are realizing they're stupid and they're stupid, and that's it. It gets to that level. Um, um. So Tony says it's a real 70s time capsule. David got the film of it.
Yeah.
So, which
Just
film?
like anything, there was a Rising Damp film, there was Love Thy Neighbor film,
Oh
a
yes,
George and Mildred film.
there were lots of those. Yeah. On the buses, of course, famously, and wonderful
Wow,
series.
3 of those.
Yeah, yeah. And then good that the bigoted
Eddie
Eddie
Booth, that
Booth
was his name.
he got his comeuppance. That's true. You see that
Yeah,
that was the
because
essence
the butt of the joke was Eddie Booth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was an idiot, wasn't he? A complete.
He was the idiot.
Yeah.
He thought he had all his friends around him backing him up, and he was the singular person that basically looked like an idiot.
Was he a shop steward or was he?
Yeah, he worked in a tooling factory.
Yeah, yeah. That's it, because they had a bit of the trade union sort of stuff.
And he was always getting people to go on strike.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. That's very much of its era.
Even his wife, I don't know how his wife put up with it.
No, I don't know how she did. Yeah, yeah. And David says at Sleepers, where the boys get sent to a detention center, and Kevin Bacon is the evil guard who abuses them. They get revenge.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Like I said, I've still got the synopsis up. It says 4 young men are sent to a detention center after a prank goes wrong.
Yeah.
They are abused by the guards, damage their psyche. 13 years later, they decide to bring the culprits to justice.
I like that. It sounds a good film. Yeah. And then it's supposed to be the Black Panther. I don't know. The Black Panther, I remember, was this sort of killer, wasn't he? For a while, he went round. Didn't he go around kidnapping people and going into the homes? And this was all in
Yeah,
the 70s, as I remember.
I don't remember that one too much.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure he did. Yeah,
That's
and
probably what that picture is.
he kidnapped this girl, Leslie Whittle. I remember that was her name, and I think they discovered her, and she was alive. I'm sure they. I may be wrong, but I'm sure they actually managed that. To get her before anything really bad happened. And also this business where he went into people's houses and he'd put on the TV and he'd be there. And yeah, very menacing. He had a shotgun. That's another thing, as I remember. But it was big news story, as you can imagine. It was a massive news story. It's about the guy who robbed post offices in the 70s and then kidnapped. He said, yeah, Leslie Whittle. That's it. He's all right. My memory managed. And then, yeah, Donald Nielsen. I'm not the similar name serial killer from a few years later, Dennis Nielsen. Yeah, it's easy to get those names mixed up. He's the one with all the floorboards, isn't he? All the bodies stuffed in the drains and all that stuff. Dennis Nielsen, yeah. And then Dave says, there's a good true crime documentary on YouTube about the Black Panther. All right, yeah. Some good documentaries if you're up for them, isn't there?
Oh, I love documentaries.
Yeah. And then Tony says, there's a film from 1977. I have, David, on BFI. So they did a film of it then.
Yeah, this is a film. Yeah. This is the Black Panther. This is a film from 1977.
Yeah. Portrait view, laugh out loud. Oh, that's it. Yeah, we're on about the portrait view. We're on about the films. Yeah. And do you guys have a favorite painter right now? I really like the Chiaco work of Caravaggio. I do have a favorite one, but I'll let you do that.
No, I mean, basically, I like all forms of art. I always go on about Wee Bob Art, who even comes in here.
I've got to say, I like Van Dyck a lot because he did all the historical portraits of the.
You see, I can't remember all of the names. There are certain names that come to mind. They were all from like Lady Bird books, or they were the paintings that were on the Airfix kits and things like that. You see, that's the painted art that I go back to in my childhood, rather than paintings of kings and things. But I do know of those because they always show up. They always show them, and they always tell you that old story that when a new king came in, they'd make all the old pictures of the king with longer noses and that to make him look more evil than he was, or
and
whatever.
The Richard III is the one they always talk about, that they really doctored up.
Drew an extra finger on him or something.
Yeah, people have looked. Also, sometimes into these series where they look at original paintings and see how they've been changed. They were changed over the years.
About 50 years later, someone came along and said, "Oh, we'll make him more stern looking."
Yes,
or uglier or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I do think that they they're a good indication. Obviously, they made. Like Henry VIII looks better than he probably did.
Don't you think though that this is probably history repeating itself with films? If you think about it, right?
Yeah.
So you've got a picture, right? And 50 years later, a new king comes along, or a queen, or whatever, and they have to restore the pictures. You know, they're getting a bit dirty or they're getting a bit faded or whatever it is, because there's no such thing as like polarized glass or whatever it is. So so they say, oh, by the way, when you take that picture away, can you make him look more sterner or ugly, but draw a bigger, longer nose on him or something, or add a finger or whatever it is? Well, what are we doing with films? A bloke dies, or the director, they put it on 4K and they say, oh, we'll change the colors.
Yeah, yes.
So history really is just repeating itself.
It's exactly
the same thing.
Yeah. Another artist who I think about as well is Rembrandt. Another
Rembrandt, yeah.
Rembrandt. Because I've actually seen his perhaps most famous picture, which is the Night Watch. It's in Amsterdam Gallery, and I always loved the Night Watch when I used to see it, and actually seeing it, live. It's one of the few pictures that I've ever seen that of important pictures, and it's just what's important about that picture is that it's more ordinary people. Rembrandt was a painter of those around him rather than doing, if we look at the Van Dyck, these are all posh people who've got the money to get themselves painted, whereas Van Dyck is painting people all around him, which is a different way of seeing art, which I really find fascinating.
Yeah,
I don't know. I need to know more. Art is I've always thought art history might be quite interesting to study. I don't know enough about art history. I just know bits and pieces. I think I like some of the classical stuff as well. But again, I don't know if there's all these Spanish painters, Velasquez, or I think that's the name, and they did loads of these paintings. I don't know if there's Spanish Armada and stuff like that. All these brilliant paintings. I'd love to have know more about. But
yeah,
that's just
I can't say much because I can't remember the names of half of them. But I do like all forms of art.
Yeah,
Even my background here has got my favorite comic book artist, like John Romita, and he's a famous comic book artist.
Yeah,
drew women lovely. There's a picture there, and it's about the Santana. She's a lady vampire, and Lilith is the daughter of Dracula, and all of this sort of stuff. But that's pencil art with inks.
Yeah.
And the way that he did the inks, he used a brush. So he used to get that. You remember Quink ink? You remember he used to buy it from a stationer's? He would put that on, and then he'd use a razor to scrape it away to get lines in the shading. See, so all of this. I mean, I don't know if I can sort of like do point my finger at it. See up here, look there.
Yeah.
So that would be fully black, and then he'd use a razor to scrape the lines away to make it look like that stripple effect.
It's really good. Yeah.
I mean, just think how long that'd take.
Yeah.
And then you get people that do paintings. I remember you used to remember watching on a Sunday in the morning, there'd be a bloke who'd tell you how to do watercolors, right?
Yes. And they were brilliant.
As a kid, I used to love Tony Hart and their art wall and all of this sort of stuff. And he'd do half a picture, and then he'd fold a piece of paper out and he'd do the other side, and it'd be, oh Christ, it's a mirror image and all of this sort of stuff, right? All he did was just fold something out, and spray paint it or whatever it is, and he made these works of art in about 5 minutes. And I'd say, the bastard, how did he do that? I wouldn't have thought about that and all that sort of stuff. The best I could do is get cotton wool buds or something and stick them onto a piece of paper or whatever it was.
Yeah,
we were brought up with a creative thing that sparked you off, and you either sunk or swam. My sister was the better drawer, but I mean, we were talking the other day, and I was saying, well, I do all my drawings now based on the method of everything is made out of circles and squares. And she goes, "Oh no, I just draw like faces and all that sort of stuff." And I said, "Yeah, but if you think about it, the head is a circle with another circle. You join the two, where those two line up, that's the eye line, etc., etc." This is how I've learned. And a hand is all made up of squares, and you join it up and you've got your fingers, so you can basically you can model things in 3D because you're just drawing a block and then a block at another angle and a block there and a block at another angle and a block and you just draw it. So the world is made up of circles and squares and ellipses. And I'm going, right now I'm seeing the world differently. And so this is where anatomy drawing comes from. But my sister she used to like drawing faces and horses and things like this. And I have trouble with that, but I can draw now like Ramita does because I've learned how he did it, which was with blue pencil and circles and filling it in. He just needed the stick character.
Yeah.
And he had the pose and then you filled it in.
Yeah.
And everything is made up of squares. You do a grid like we used to have graph paper.
Yeah, I remember graph paper. Yeah.
Somebody will tell you that the top half of your body is a third.
Yeah.
And then the middle is another third. The bottom, is like 2/5, and the bottom is actually the longest part.
Yeah.
Right. And all that sort of stuff. And you can and so graph paper helps you work that out. So if you make it out that a person is 12 blocks high, you can work it out.
Yeah.
And I'm going, wow, what a way of looking at things.
There's another point I'd like to make is that I find that religion fascinating, even though I don't agree. I think it's been one of the worst things to happen in mankind's history because it's caused so much wars.
Yeah.
But it has also produced some of the greatest art possible and architecture. And you look at Michelangelo, who created some of the wonderful things that he did, and they're all based on the religion at the time, but they're just amazing, absolutely amazing pieces of works of art. They really are. And it just shows you that, things like religion, and same with the architecture. I'm fascinated by architecture as well, all the different phrases. And you go into a cathedral and you think, God, these took hundreds and hundreds of years to build. It's like our version of the pyramids, the cathedrals and what have you.
Yeah.
They're just absolutely amazing. You almost think that we would have problems building something like that. But then I'm saying to myself, but there are people whose job is permanently restoring these. They've got their own workshops in these minsters and cathedrals, and they're now replacing all these things all the time to keep the buildings. That's why a lot of them need money, to keep restoring these wonderful buildings. Even if you're, say, not a Christian or religious in any way, we can't help but think these are absolutely beautiful works of art. They really are beautiful. And I like that. I like the religious pictures. You see so many of them, they're different, the way they're done and that. I like those, and I like the mythology. I like mythological ones as well, when you see all the classics, which some of the artists went into and was doing all the classics. And then we went, of course, into later on with the Impressionists. I love the Impressionists. There's so much. Actually, it's an area I'd love to look at and study a lot more about different sort of the development of art and how it changed.
Big subject.
And right to Picasso, that's it. Picasso, I mean, some of his stuff looks really weird, but he's such an influential person.
There's Vincent van Gogh. There's all sorts that you.
Van Gogh, he's stands out. It is the whole history going right back. It's fascinating. I mean, look at another example. Look at the Bear Tapestry, 1066. Isn't that a wonderful piece of art?
Yeah.
I'd love to see that. It's one thing I've never seen.
Well, you can't you? This from September, can't you?
It's absolutely wonderful, isn't it?
It's come back into this country, and you can go
Yes,
to
yeah,
for a short period
yeah.
of time and go and look at it.
I mean, you think when it was made and all the story it's telling, it's an important part of our history.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful.
Anyway, we better get on, haven't we? We've been on that. We've had that one thing.
Yeah, we have covered a lot of areas today. We've done all sorts, haven't we? Slipknot, Tony Hart, and Morph. Yes, that's. I remember Morph. Remember Vision On? Yes, yeah. Tony, Lowry, Matchstick Men and Matchstick Cats and Dogs.
Cats and Dogs, yeah.
Lowry's great. All the industrial pictures that he did of the northern places, fantastic, Lowry. And that song, Matchstick, there was a song in charts, Matchstick Men. And
we all know it, don't we?
Used to watch Vision On regularly. Yeah, it was one of those things. And then Laugh Out Loud, David. We had good tea time TV shows. Animal Magic, Screen Test with Michael Rodd. Yeah, the film programs, wasn't there? They used
the rival to Screen Test was Clapperboard, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember that as well. I remember, they were all good, wasn't there? Aimed at kids. Yeah. And then Slipknot says, speaking of Star Trek, I've just been getting into some of the show's lore. Didn't know Picard's ship, the US Enterprise NCC 1701D, was the fifth version of the Enterprise.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Wonderful. And it's worth delving in. Once you get into Star Trek, there's all sorts you can go into the history of it. That's bringing back memories, David. Another show I regularly watched was Screen Test. Yeah, there we are.
Yeah, I watched Screen Test and Clapperboard.
Yeah. Don't ever remember getting a device without a plug. It's showing our age, Tony. We remember it. He's pretending he's not as old as me.
You don't even get a plug in a laptop these days.
Yeah. He's about 100, really, Delboy. You wouldn't know that, would you?
I just look. It's all this embalming fluid that's in me. So you make me look young.
That's why he's always saying I look old and Captain Birdseye, but it's him that's the oldie, really. And then David says, "I've even loved cinema." Says, "I even loved cinema then. Always watched it along with Cheggers Plays Pop and Top of the Pops." But they didn't have many punk or ska bands, which was my thing. No, I know what you mean. It took Top of the Pops and all that. They were always behind. But once punk started to get in, it was great. And also when Anne Nightingale took over the Old Great Whistle Test, they started to get a lot more punk bands on, which was fantastic. There was some under Whispering Bob.
Yeah, you had Mark Bolan had a show for a while that brought some acts on.
It did, unfortunately.
And then I don't think, but I think I've got my memory wrong here, but I don't think Runaround had any bands on.
No.
I think that was just a pure game show, wasn't it?
Yeah. And with Mark Bolan, it was very sad because he was kind of championing these new bands, punk bands and what have you. On his show and his career was reviving, wasn't it?
Yeah, he had David Bowie on once, didn't he? He had David Bowie on once, didn't he? The last show, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then he had that terrible accident.
Yeah, in his car. With his girlfriend, wasn't it?
Yeah,
went into a tree in Oxfordshire as well. That was, wasn't
it? And his career was on the up after him disappearing. It's very sad. Anyhow, and here we've got, I knew she would come all the way from the Philippines. It's Mer. I know, lovely catch goes on about. Yeah, it's Mer. Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us every week. And then Tony says, hello, lovely cat. And then she's there going, yeah. And then we've got Tony. the original NCC 1701 was in the series. Then they introduced the A in the films with the original crew. I think B was an Excelsior class ship, and C was seen in an episode of Next Generation. I think Yesterday's Enterprise, my favorite.
Yesterday's Enterprise, that's right.
It's my all-time favorite episode.
I don't know the classes, but the B, was shown in Generations.
It's so good. Is Yesterday's Enterprise? It's a time travel tale. It's absolutely wonderful. Oh, what an episode! It's one of my all-time favorite Star Trek episodes of the whole Star Trek.
Even Kelsey Grammer was in an episode of a starship that had been thought was destroyed 70 years or so, and it was in a time loop type thing.
That's right. That's the one. Yes, it keeps repeating itself, doesn't it? They get so far that it repeats itself. Yeah. But Yesterday's Enterprise is fantastic. It's so
they sent the Enterprise C back into the rift, and they didn't know whether it would be destroyed or not. They gave it enough oomph, I think, to be able to possibly last out for a short while before it would be destroyed. And Tasha Yar went back.
That's right. Really? It's funny because we mentioned Denise Crosby earlier. I was talking about.
And then she came back as a Romulan, didn't she? She must have been captured or something.
That episode was so good. And Captain Garrett we met, who unfortunately died. I'd love to see more about Captain Garrett. She always fascinated me about what she did, and I think maybe
she was in
sick
bay for nearly all of the show. Then she went back onto her bridge and she got blown up.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, but I reckon I'm sure the new Star Trek has messed about with that and probably made it really awful. I'm sure. I don't know much about it, but I'm sure I read somewhere that they had got an actress playing Captain Garrett, and it just made me think, oh God, they've probably ruined it, because she was a really good story. I'd love to have seen them fighting the Romulans.
Don't watch Starfleet Academy, I tell you.
Don't watch those things. But
they're in a school, and I tell you, all the hallways have got street names like Kirk Boulevard, things like this.
It's cringe factor. Yeah. Anyhow, David says, I wish Cadbury's would bring Fuse back and Aztec bars. Oh, Aztec, I remember the Aztec bars. Lovely, absolutely lovely, beautiful. They didn't last long though, did they? I don't think they lasted very long.
Well, Cadbury's aren't the same anyway since Kraft Jacobs took over.
Have you noticed the chocolate doesn't taste as good, does it? You buy some
milk. They use less and less cocoa beans all the time. They put more sweetener in it to try and compensate.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? And then Tony says, remember those chocolate bar names, but can't recall what flavors they had, apart from the obvious chocolates.
Me and my sister were having a talk about this. I didn't know that the first chocolate bar was the fries chocolate. Right?
Fries.
That came out in the 1850s. That came out in the 1850s.
That's right. Yeah. And
you can still buy it. And you can still buy it today.
It's dark chocolate, and it's lovely. It is dark.
It's got a white fluffy inside, minty sort of like.
Yeah.
And of course, 6 months later, somebody brought out the chocolate press, and that's where Swiss chocolate gets its. Interesting. I didn't really know too much about these things.
Yeah.
My sister's favorite chocolate bar, they don't make anymore. She's always on the lookout to see if you can get it in other countries. But it was a chocolate bar that had green crystals in it that were mint flavored. They were like green crystals. And she can't find that anymore. Apparently, I think you can get it in India or something.
Yeah.
Right. But she's always on the lookout to see if Amazon have got it or something, that you can get it from France or something. But it looks like it was written out of existence, like a lot of chocolate bars that
I used to like Caramax. They were really tasty, but they disappeared.
I never liked Caramac, I have to say.
Yeah, I like them. Yeah. And I liked it the way they were even wrapped up in like this sort of material that they wrapped up in. They were really nicely well thought. They
I
wasn't
used to like I used to
clunky.
like dairy I used to like Dairy Crunch, and you can
Yes,
still get that. But
yeah,
Dairy Crunch is so thin, you might as well not buy it.
yeah. And do you remember like fruit and nut and all that sort of stuff? Oh, you don't have nuts, do you? I don't think.
No, I do. I have
All
nuts.
right, yeah. But I remember fruit and nut. I used to love
Well,
them.
Frank Muir did those
Yeah,
adverts, didn't
that's
he?
it. Yes, everyone's a fruit.
Everyone's a fruit nutcase.
Yeah, uh, they were lovely. They're still probably going.
The funny thing is, at the end of the advert, he always used to say something like, "They don't make adverts like this anymore."
Yeah,
No, they
Frank
bloody
Muir.
well don't.
Yeah.
All
I used
adverts I see today are trying to tell me that I need to be cremated or I need to be sending money to a donkey sanctuary. That's what the adverts I see these days tell me. I don't see quick fit fitters. I don't see, anything anymore. The ones with the jingles, the shake and vac and all of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
None of that.
Actually, when you said Frank Muir, does anybody remember Call My Bluff? I used to watch that. Call My Bluff. Simple times, cheap programs, but they were really good. That was on BBC Two, wasn't it? Fuse was nuts, raisin, biscuit bits, all mixed together. Lovely. That does sound nice. Yeah.
Sounds like a derivative of a picnic bar.
Yeah. Doctor Who even had a Chinese actress in Mind of Evil. Yes, they did. Yeah. She's rather good, isn't she? In that, yeah. Brilliant. It's true. Doctor Who was always ahead. Have you tried Old Jamaica? Crikey, David, plain chocolate with rum and raisin. Yeah. I've seen that. I've never really got into that. Maybe I'm not a rum fan, I think, but it might be nice. Didn't Star Trek have the first interracial kiss shown on TV? We have mentioned that before, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing was, for years and years and years, people did think that was, but apparently it was shown there was a kiss scene 6 months previous to that. It's been debunked.
Yeah. But maybe it's because Star Trek, being Star Trek, is still seen as the diversity bit. Yeah,
pioneering
it has
thing.
been debunked.
Yeah.
Though, to be fair, don't you think that Kirk don't look that keen on it? It looks very struggling. Oh, she's not that keen. One or other.
Yeah, I think that was more like it. Oh, I got to cuss him. Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah. I hope he's cleaned his teeth.
Yeah.
Between Kirk and O'Hara. Tony, I love it. That's why I'm fat. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, enjoy it. Just eat it.
Chocolate bars. Interesting subject. Chocolate bars.
Yeah, now I knew we'd get to this, and I nearly mentioned it, but we'll talk about it here because it is one of the great all-time Doctor Who stories, but it was controversial. In the talons of Wang Chang, the BBC decided to employ a well-known white actor with makeup to portray a Chinese man rather than employ a Chinese actor. Pretty racist, really. However, it never stops me enjoying this story. And it's same with me. It's one of Doctor Who's greatest stories. Like a certain black dog in Dambusters. Yeah, I've talked about that. It's a product of the time that bears no ill intent.
Yeah, using the N word. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. I watched that fairly recently, didn't I? Dambusters. It didn't really. I think people made more fuss of it than
I used to like the Carlin Black Label advert with the Dambusters.
Yeah, Carlin Black Label.
There was a bloke at the end, and he was catching the balls, and it was as if he was a goalie or something.
Yes.
And they were trying to talk through these speakers, going, right? And he turns around and he says, "I bet he drinks Carlin Black Label," and he doesn't have his mask on, and he goes. and then it showed the tops of the Carling Black labels with the ball back.
Oh, brilliant!
They went Carling Black Label.
I have to say that in the story with Tom Baker and Talons of Wang Chang, Tom Baker is absolutely in his element. He's brilliant. He's almost playing Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah,
really in it, but it's superb. There is a bit of a dodgy effect, we always say, with the rat that appears, but I still think I watch it and really enjoy it, and it never puts me off that he's, not a Chinese actor. But I really hope it doesn't get taken off in places, but it wouldn't surprise me as if they don't show it. I don't know. I don't even know if it's on the iPlayer. I would hope it is. It should be on the iPlayer, but you never know. They quietly take things off. And I presume they would put a warning notice like nowadays if they're showing it. It's my favorite, but not had it for ages. Oh, still on my another one is Fry's chocolate cream. Love Fry's chocolate cream, Tony. Love it.
Well, that's what I just explained about the Fry's chocolate.
Yeah. That's why I love this chat. We talk about anything, even chocolate and getting fat. Of course, yeah. That's what we always say. You can talk about anything. It doesn't matter. We're not just films, that's what I love about it. I know films play a big part, but we talk about anything. And then Black Panther is referring to my picture. Tony says, yeah. Of course. Chimney. Oh, wrong, Van Dyke. Dick, not the painter. Actually, I was thinking, Dick Van Dyke, he's still going, isn't he? He's still going, is Dick Van Dyke. He must be one of the oldest actors going, I think. And then Dave said, Tony, if you have a Home Bargains near you, you get Old Jamaica in there. Oh, wow. So there you are. Home Bargains is the place to go. And then Tony says, last time I did have some, I was getting it from Amazon. I think it was a reasonable price too. Well, that's it. We forget Amazon sell everything, don't they? They do sell everything. And then Tony says they quite often have good prices for food items. I've never really explored food on Amazon, but yeah. I get the joke in Cheers now. Lilith was Fraser's wife. She looked like a vampire.
Yeah. They used to make jokes about her because even what was her name? Daphne always used to be a psychic. And she used to say, I feel a weird presence is coming, and then it would be a knock on the door and it would be Fraser's old wife, Lilith. Yeah. And they always used to turn around and say she always looks like a blood donor who couldn't say no. You know what I mean?
That's a good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like after the blood's been drained away from her.
Yeah, blood donor. I won't say no. It's a good phrase. Turns out, I used to watch Frasier regularly years ago when Channel 4 showed it in early mornings. Lilith did seem quite pale, I remember. Yeah. There you are.
They still show it early in the morning, but they show it now. His part of the segment of Frasier comes on now about 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning because they show things like Cheers first, and then it's like Everybody Loves Raymond or something, or King of Queens or something, and I don't watch those shows.
Yeah.
So by the time that Frasier's coming, I'm at work.
Yeah.
So all the crap shit is on. I want to watch Frasier. You know what I mean?
And then Tony says, she popped up in the odd episode. Yeah.
Yeah, usually 2 episodes of every season, I think.
Yeah. Stephen Taylor, hello, Stephen. Good evening,
hello,
Ian, Dylan, chat. Hello, welcome. And then Tony says, hi, Stephen. And then Stephen says, I noticed last week that all Cy Robson's posts get deleted. and he hasn't been on tonight. I wonder if he's been blocked by mistake. As far as I know, we haven't blocked him, have we?
No, we had a discussion about that the lady or bloke that was coming in that has been causing stuff. You can't block someone without going into YouTube purposely and typing in a name, unless you right click on a person and then choose to block it that way.
Yeah,
we actually got rid of that person, or should I say, we blocked that person by typing the name in.
Yeah, and so far they've not been back.
So I wouldn't. So as far as I know, Si's not blocked.
No, it may be he's, he goes to the cinema a lot. I don't know. I don't know.
Explain why he's not in, but it doesn't. What they're saying, Ian, is it doesn't explain why all of his comments have gone from last week.
Oh, I don't know. I can't explain it. I'm sorry.
I'll tell you what, guys. Look, we'll check it at the end of after this broadcast to see if his name's in the sin bin. But
I don't think it's not. I think we checked. He's not in there.
No,
I'm sure he's not in there. We looked, didn't we? I mean, he's definitely not in.
Everybody who's in here is basically in my positive list. They have not only do they have a section where it says these names are ones that you don't want in your commenting and all of this sort of stuff. There's a section that says you could be a moderator and all of this, and then there's ones that say these people can authorize at any moment and all this sort of stuff. And then there's ones that say always be displayed or whatever it is. And you'll tend to find that us as creators rarely go into these things unless pushed into a situation where they make something where you're being bullied. Really, I mean, I'm on a stage and I'm having to accept certain stuff being said. I actually said to Ian for 3 weeks of this stuff going on, I said, I don't mind if the person's still here. They haven't actually made a threat or anything at you, Ian. It's me, right?
But I'm not. To me, I felt it was unacceptable.
But when Rocket actually said, "No, I'm putting that person on silent," we just agreed. That's 4 weeks in a row.
It got to the point
there's no positivity coming out because the person would say one line and it would always be about me. There was nothing else mentioned about films.
It was clearly doing. Anyhow, then hopefully we won't have them back. I blocked them unless they open another account or something. But Si may be doing other things. I don't know. Hopefully, I don't know. Si's comments were being blocked last time, Stephen. I'm sure they're not now. We've looked. He's definitely not on there. YouTube is getting weirder. Yeah, I know it has been for me personally.
One of my best friends is Steve still plays games, and he's saying he says he likes coming to this channel, but he can't comment.
Yeah.
And it's a bit awful watching something where you can't join in with the discussion. And even with him, his comments disappear off of my channel. They'd be there for a day and then they'd disappear.
Yeah.
And yet he's one of my best friends.
I don't know what's happening.
YouTube is weird. Sometimes it can be, I think that sometimes that YouTube recognize people sometimes where they've used swear words in other channels or tried to put a web link in and they've looked at it as being a scam, and they basically then penalize you for every channel that you go to based on it. Because he's a very big advocate for trouncing on Trump, Steve. That's it. So from YouTube's point of view, you've mentioned Trump, you've turned around and said he's orange, blah, 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 and they basically put you in a sin bin. It's nothing to do with my channel.
See
what I mean?
Well, hopefully Si will come back. So I don't know.
This is my hopes. I hope nothing bad has happened to Si. I hope nothing. I hope he hasn't deleted his account for some reason, or the YouTube have deleted it by mistake, or whatever. Because my friend Steve, by the way, lost his whole channel because he deleted an email by a mistake.
Oh yes, yeah, I remember you
That
saying
wiped his whole account and every video he had. And all he did was he didn't actually go into YouTube or anything. He went into his Google account and saw an email that he hadn't used for years, and he went, "Oh, I probably don't use that anymore. I'll delete it." And it had this knock-on effect like a domino, and wiped his whole account. And he had to create a new account and start from scratch.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. Starting from scratch.
And you just don't know whether something like that's happened with Si. He might have, somebody might have actually hacked his account.
Yeah,
he could have had a scam happen.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
but when your account is deleted, it does remove things like likes, dislikes, comments, the history. Boom.
Yeah,
because that's why sometimes your subscriber count goes down.
Yeah, it's up and down.
Why?
Yeah, I find it. My subscriber goes up and down half the time. You don't know what's going on.
I've lost 3 subscribers this week.
Yeah, you see, that has to be something strange, bots or something. I don't know. If you watch it back, all his posts have gone, have they? You see, that is strange. I'll have to. I'll have a look after Stephen. Yeah. There was a lady who used to comment, and she's been blocked by YouTube for some unknown reason. No, I know it was me, because she was getting on people's nerves in the end, and I blocked her because it was just easier. She upset Si as well, I remember, quite a lot.
Yeah.
So that's why I did it. I can't read someone called Don't Sub on here, but I can see when Ian reads them out.
Yeah, now we know that's because you have to go to the top of the page and choose all live chat, Stephen.
Yeah.
You will see his stuff. We all have to do it. It's something to do with something that's happened in the past, or something about his account, or something. We don't understand it either, but as soon as you go to live chat, it shows.
Yeah.
It's weird what YouTube are doing at the moment. A lot of stuff I don't understand.
Yeah. Now, Tony says you need to change your settings, Stephen, to see all comments, including possible spam. If you're on your phone, tap the 2 lines with dots on. Oh yeah, to the top right of the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're on a PC where the box is with all the text and the lines,
I'm on my
top left-hand corner, it says you drop the box down and you've got 2 options. You've got top chat and live chat, and it denotes to top chat.
Will that be showing on the laptop? It can do that on the laptop. Oh wow. Have a go at that. Yeah.
So if you're looking at something on a PC, the whole box where you see the text, there's a little box at the top that says top chat or live. And if you drop the box down, you'll see it says live chat. And you need to choose live chat to see Don't Sub.
Right. Hopefully, have a go at that. Hopefully, yeah. Yeah. And then Tom says, not sure what you do on a laptop. I've started watching it on the TV and commenting on the phone. Yeah, I've watched things on the TV. And yeah, sometimes it's easier to do it on the phone. Yeah, it is easier. And then Rocket Bunny says, Science Bars were definitely not blocked last week. Yeah. So we don't understand it either. Can you block all the YouTube ads if you watch on TV? You can't. You can skip them after a while. They'll show a few, and then you have to skip them. As far as I know, don't you have to pay extra or something? They make you.
You have to play YouTube Premium. You have to do YouTube Premium.
Right.
But there used to be old tricks here. You used to be able to use something called a VPN, and if you then chose the VPN to be switched on, and you were using, and you said that your IP was in America, that used to stop the ads. Then you used to get what they call ad blockers.
Yeah.
And that used to block them. But it's just each time you do something, they plug the hole and it stops it from working. With TVs, it's harder because the TV doesn't have a way of downloading apps or updating the firmware and things like that. It's much easier to correct it on a laptop where it's a piece of software compared to a TV that's got software that you can never get to. There's no double clicking, there's no mouse, there's no. You see what I mean? So you can't. You it's very difficult. You have to sort of do things like update the firmware and things like that. Or use what they call third-party firmware patches and things like this. It's not worth doing it. Most people that do it on Fire Sticks, believe it or not, Amazon Fire Sticks. There's no end of tricks you can use to get rid of ads on Fire Sticks. I only know this stuff because I had to know this stuff for things like IT security for the companies that I've worked for.
Right. Yeah.
You know, they used to always turn around and say anything with memory is a hole for a hacker to come in on from. Because memory allows you to run code, and if you can run code, you can hack. You see what I mean? But anyway, that's a subject that we could talk about. It's a bit boring, I would say. I'd rather talk about chocolate bars than that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about. I could eat one now. We were chatting with him all evening.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
We don't know what's gone on. It's best just that we'll check in.
He said after the chat finished, his comments disappeared. We don't understand it. It's strange. But I've had that.
I think it's circumstance and information where, because at the end of that broadcast, that something we've done has blocked it. That's all it's happened is that at the end of that, between that and now, something's happened. Right? I don't know whether he was able to talk the next day on another channel. Have you gone to look at another person's channel where he frequents and seen whether he commented on there?
Yeah. I don't really watch many other chats, but I have seen some, but I don't think he's been on them. I don't think he's been on other chats, so I don't know.
Well, you see, that's the other thing. If you know that he used to frequent another channel and you don't see the chats appearing there, anything we do can't affect somebody else's channel.
Yeah.
And that means something's happened to him or his account.
Yeah. Hopefully he'll come back, and it's not. Well, we don't know. Was he here last week or wasn't he last week?
Well, that's what they're saying. He was here last week. His chats were there, and now he's not there.
So if he was here last week, it's possible he'll be here. He could be here next week.
No, Ian, what they're saying is, if you go to replay last week's Wednesday's live session, all of his comments have gone.
Oh, yeah.
Every single one.
Which, shouldn't be. They should still be there, shouldn't they?
Well, yeah. Unless the account has been deleted.
Oh. But with me, I made comments on your thing and they disappeared. I couldn't see your comments.
Yeah, but remember, I said, I don't know. I don't know. And I said, I did say that your comments turned up 8 times.
See, that didn't fit in. I didn't understand that. Yeah.
Right. It's almost like you hit submit and then you hit submit another 7 times.
As far as, I don't think I did that. But you never know, dear. Oh, well. Tony says, I've never got any ads on Ian's stream or Dell's blog when watching on TV, but get plenty on other YouTube channels. I think what it is because I'm not monetized. Neither of us are monetized. If we were monetized,
I would never monetize anyway. But you've got to get over 1,000 subscribers to monetize.
I've got that, but you've got to have now 8,000 watch hours. 8,000 watch hours. Yeah. In other words, it's very difficult to get monetized now. I get that. I mean, you watch channels and even live streams. I've watched other live streams and it'll suddenly break off into adverts. Adverts happen, don't they? There's quite a few people who are monetized. They're getting away with it at the moment. And then I think YouTube only shows, and yeah, that's spot on. That's exactly right. Monetized channels get ads, and there's no chance of us ever getting monetized. Don't worry about that. Thanks, Tony. YouTube ads are so annoying every few minutes. Yeah, you'll be all right. We're not going to have them here. No. And then Tony says, I think you need to pay a subscription to get ad-free videos. I'm not paying YouTube. No, I'm not. I say exactly that. I think they probably charge about $7.99 or something ridiculous like that. To get rid of them. I use an ad blocker on my laptop, but it doesn't work on a TV. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Rocket Bunny says, you're right, Stephen. That's very strange. All size comments are gone from last week. Ian Dell, did you know about this? He isn't even here tonight either. Well, I don't know about it. Dell may have a point. What if he's deleted his account? We don't know. I'm sorry. I wish we could tell you. All we know is we haven't blocked him, and you should be able to see them. And then Tony says, I usually click on the skip button as soon as it appears. Right. So I was probably
that's adverts, yeah.
Unable to comment. I hope not, because it'd be so frustrating for him. I don't know. It is annoying. Ian was blocking someone else last week, someone called Sandy. Yeah. I wonder if something went wrong there. I don't think so. I've looked on that, and they're there. I don't think there's anything wrong there. They're, as far
guys,
as I know,
just so you know, we'll check this, but Rocket Bunny will tell you this, right? When you block someone, you can do certain stuff, right? And it will say you can put somebody on timeout, right? And it's got so many seconds, right? It says something like 80,000 seconds or something. It's usually a timeout for about 3 days or something like that, right?
No, mine was I blocked them.
You can block someone, but they go into what I call the sin bin. I call it the sin bin.
Yeah.
But their name has to permanently be in an area that says do this. And it doesn't usually remove previous comments. It just stops them from commenting from then on.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
But YouTube is weird, and they're changing their back ends and all of this sort of stuff all the time. It drives me up the wall. Really does.
Yeah.
I have no idea. But I tell you, you know us. We're
yeah. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. All I did is it just got ridiculous, the personal insults. So I just blocked them, and that's what I did. I thought it was totally unacceptable.
And it was done by typing the name in of the account.
Yeah, they're gone as far as I'm concerned. So I don't know. They won't come back unless they change an account.
Well, if they create another account, then of course they can come in.
Yeah.
And there are people out there that can create bots and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a technical minefield, and it's how people troll.
Yeah.
And, but at the end of the day, I turned around and I said, it's not up to me to block, and I'm not bothered if the person comes in and keeps saying stuff, because what's happened with that particular person, and I don't know why they've got a problem with me, is that they're showing their true colors, because they only come in and then they say a nasty thing about me.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything. Where have I said anything nasty to them?
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, I said it in the first time I saw a horrible comment. I turned around and said, "It's a shame you think that way, because I liked you."
Mm-hmm.
And then from then on, all I got was bad comments.
Yeah. Anyhow, that's a possibility, Stephen. But if Ian blocked them while the stream was still live, wouldn't Si have been instantly blocked if it was done by mistake?
Well, this is the thing. If we keep deliberating on this,
Was never blocked.
The blocking of that person was after the event, which is why
Sai was never blocked. I can 100% say nothing was done with Sai.
I mean, we didn't block Sandy during the broadcast. It was afterwards.
Yeah. They're all, and then Steven said, I think Tian said he would ban them after the stream had finished. I'm not 100% sure about it. Yeah, well, they are banned now. They're in the thing. They can't come on with that account. But they can create another account.
Ian, this conversation is probably going to go on for a while. You might want to just sort of like...
But I'm trying to sort of say, that's quite possible then, Stephen. I can't understand why someone would want to come on a chat just to be nasty. The mind boggles. It's horrible. It is. It's ridiculous. It says a lot about them. That's a good point by Del. Maybe Sai deleted his account. Well, it's possible, maybe.
Or his account's been hacked or anything.
Because he's not an active in terms of creating. He likes to just comment, doesn't he, Sai?
Yeah.
So it's pointless because you're wasting your own time just to be nasty to someone. That's true. Tom says, no, the lady I meant was Akers. It was
wasn't Akers. Wasn't Akers.
Yeah, Akers. Yeah, that's going back a bit. Yeah. There's a comment.
She did used to discuss gaming, but she actually did it on my friend's channel, Mainmeister.
Yeah.
She never used to really discuss gaming other than here or Mainmeister because I haven't done anything live for must be 8-9 months.
Yeah. There is a comment made on another channel's video and made 2 days ago. Well,
so the account wasn't deleted at least 2 days.
Yeah, it could be he's doing other things as well. It's one I occasionally watch but don't comment on. That's interesting, Tony. And then it's 8,000 watch hours per year you need, Ian. Yeah, which is a hell of a lot. I mean,
no, he's put. Is it? Is it?
Yes. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's a lot. Watch hours. It's an amazing amount, and it'll stop people.
I must admit, I don't. I mean, if I was to look at mine, you see, all it's got next to mine is your typical. Mine is 287 hours, but it doesn't say whether that's per week.
Have you looked at your analytics?
That is the analytics. It just says summary. Oh, you're right. So in the last 28 days, I've got 287 hours.
There you are.
So if you were to times that by 12, that's how many I get a year.
Yeah.
And my blogs, my diaries are 2.5 hours long.
Yeah.
So it just shows you what an uphill.
It is. That's what everybody's been complaining about. That if you're like a small channel, say, and even a small channel, I know I'm trying to get to 2,000 subs, but that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how many subs it's all to do with watch hours. That's all it's all about. But I'm not interested in monetization. I think it would irritate people like mad anyhow. Watching my videos.
Said it best. He turned around and said he didn't understand about the the Patreon and all of this sort of stuff.
Oh yeah.
He turned around and said that one of his friends monetized at one point, and then he turned it off. And he asked the person, "Why did you do that?" And he said, "Because I feel, therefore, that I have to do content because I'm being paid." That's for me to do the content, which means that I feel I'm beholden to it.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
And I have to look at it like that and go, yeah.
You should never feel forced into doing something you enjoy, because I'm sure if it gets to that point, you won't enjoy it, will you?
Well, in other words, if I was to choose a person like Tony Yorks owns you because he pays you money. to do your content because he's a Patreon, because you
Yeah,
he pays
exactly. And
a pound into a Patreon
it's
account,
ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah, yeah,
right?
exactly.
So he could go, "Why are you not doing any content?"
Yeah,
I pay a pound a night every
yeah,
month.
exactly. You have to. It creates more work for you because you've got to say, "Oh, I've got to give them some exclusive content." So you've got to maybe do some more videos, which are just for them. That's what you say. Oh, you can watch a
And
video.
all of that money where you do things like Snapchat, those chats where you
Yeah,
pay money and your comment goes up in green on these chat channels. 20 to 30% of that goes straight to
oh,
Google.
yeah, you get all that, don't you? Yeah, I've seen that
The
stat.
person that you've just you thought that
Yeah,
you've just given a fiver to is actually getting something like £1.20 or
yeah,
something.
they get money taken off, don't they? You're right. If somebody gives a fiver, you don't get that fiver, you do. They take money off. But all the Patreons is just they display your name, don't they? They
Yeah.
just display your name, and that's it. That's all you get. Wow, you know. Right, and then we've got Tony here saying, "Good night, all," and
Yeah.
thank you,
I think
Tony, as
most people are
always for
saying good night
joining.
now, I think.
Yeah, and then Steve says, "Good night, everyone." Good night, Stephen. Thank you for joining us. And then Rocket Bunny says, "Good night, Ian, Dylan, chat. Enjoy the rest of the week." Thank you, Rocket Bunny, for joining us as always. Thank you so much. And then Rocket Bunny says, "YouTube has a 4,000 hours annual requirement at the moment." That's it, yeah. But from February next year, 2027, it's changing to 8,000 hours, which is doubling the amount and making it even more difficult for
Get
podcasts.
rid of the small people and keep the big ones.
That's it. That's all it's about, isn't it? But I still think, like you do, that YouTube is a great platform for people like
Yeah.
us who can produce these videos. We're not bothered about making money. We just want somewhere to just do
Yeah,
this.
if you still want to have a voice, you've still got one. It's just that you can't
Yeah,
make money from it.
but that's don't matter to us, does it? We're not
No.
bothered. So it don't matter, you know. Um, and then Tony says, "I just bribe with DZ dance instead of Patreon." Oh, I like that one.
Classic line from Tony there.
Laugh out loud. I like that. Was a great one. I like that. I don't need to. We actually, you should have said Tony York corner. It's the Tony York corner. That's the bribery factory. Yeah. Anyhow, on that note, as I say, on that bombshell, we'll end. Thank you, Delboy, for being with us, and thank you everybody else who's watched us. And hope you've enjoyed it. We always enjoy it. I know we've had a few things, but generally we've enjoyed it, and we've always enjoyed your contributions. And I know we have technical stuff, but hey, hopefully everything will be back to normal next week.
I just hope that people don't think that we just go around blocking people.
But we love it too much. We wouldn't do that. Why would we? Yeah.
Think of it like this. Why would you want to have less people joining you per week when you've only got something like a small amount here anyway? Do you see what I mean? That'd be a stupid thing to do.
It would.
Which is why something that happened to me took 4 weeks before we did anything, because you have to give people time and just go, well, maybe they're just upset this week or upset the next week. It had to go to a whole month of that before something occurred. But the more we talk about it, the more we give fuel to make them. In other words, we're going to be talking about them for weeks, and the best thing to do
we
about
want to
it is
let them go.
Not talk about it at all.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm just going to turn around and say what I normally do, which is it's goodbye from me,
and it's goodbye from him.
Good night. We always do that. But I really do mean it. I love being here, and I hope you've enjoyed. I've loved talking about chocolate bars and all of that sort of stuff. It's absolutely marvelous. So I'm going to say salute, which is from one of my favourite comedians growing up, which was Frankie Howard. So over to my friend Ian, and thanks to Ian for allowing me here, Ian. Thank you
You're
so
welcome,
much.
as always. And all I've got to say is, I'll see thee again. Bye, everyone. Bye. And here we go. We go in.